Ali, Ali. Ali, Ali. Yeah. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7. I praise Allah for these lessons. I'm striving to be the message. And I thank Allah for his blessings. Ali was the circle 7.
Islam, 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 North America, want to rise upon the 7 within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God, Allah, Father God, Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal. We give honors to our Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our Holy Prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to give honors to the ancestors, for this grand drawing, that we are bringing forth when it comes to our ears sessions, our Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate sessions, and at this time, we would like to call forth our brother, Dr. Marvin Nathaniel Edwards Bay, Consul General of the Texas Territory, that he may open up our hearts and minds as he opens up the way. Unkwa Jet Sanev Shimo Tepu Morshkin. Peace and love.
Gratitude, National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Shiro Mitiyamo as well. Honors and rising. Yes, I'm Dr. Marvin Elvis Bay, Consul General of the Texas Territory. Rising, give it all praises to the great God Allah. Give it highest honors to his prophet, our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give our honor to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give our honors to our Act 1. I give our honor to all of our bishops. I give our honor to this class, our Egyptian Adapters Research Sultanate class. As well, I give honor to our instructor, our host, Dr. Shiro Amentiamo as well, for aiding and assisting this Moorish American government. As well, I give honor to everything that's Moorish, our flag, our seal, our emblem, our divine constitution, Holy Quran, Book of Ali, 101s, 102s, like zooming up a nation. All of our divine revelations I give honor. Give honor to everyone on the panel and all those in the audience. And I will be opening our meeting according to law with our Cometian, Moorish America, and our prayer. And I will begin. Ya Allah at Uveru Meku Neteru. Ya Allah Ebhetheru, Ya Allah Ma'atheru, Ya Allah Hoteperu, Ya Allah Heru, Ya Allah Ma'at Herkuti, Ya Allah Awajet Dejuti, Ya Allah Patem Sutek, Patem Heru, Ya Allah Bamatuti, Ya Allah Hetis Rayab Tuali. Amen. Hallelujah. 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 In transliteration, O Allah, the Father of the universe, O Allah, the Father of love, O Allah, the Spirit of truth, O Allah, the Spirit of peace, O Allah, the Spirit of freedom, O Allah, the Spirit of justice, O Allah, you are my protector, O Allah, you are my guide, O Allah, you are my salvation by night and by day, O Allah, through your holy prophet, O Allah, through Ali. Amen. Holy Issa, Holy Issa, Holy Issa. And now, I will read our divine constitution of Morse America. Salvation, our God, unity. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of Morse America are in power to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Morse America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the citizens of Morse America. The bylaws. All meetings are to be opened and closed properly, according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Morse America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Morse American, you are a part and a parcel of the said government, and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Morse America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble True Ali, the Prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Morse Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all uplifting acts of Morse America. Morse Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Morse America. And then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Morse Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love, and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now that this meeting has been opened according to law, I will pass the meeting over to our National Grand Secretary of State, Dr. Adept, to come and obey Islam.
Islam, gratitude, Islam Moorish-kin. This is Dr. Hatshepsut Tutankhamun Bey, National Grand Secretary of State, rising, giving praises to Allah, honor to our Prophet, honor to our class this morning, our ears class, Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate class. We want to give a special honor to our Consul General of Texas, Dr. Marvin Edwards Bey, for opening our meeting according to law. Also to our host instructor, our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, Dr. Sheto Amenti and Mohedded Shepsuel, and to our scribe, Consul General of Iowa, Dr. Bati Bey, and our family online. Chapter 3, Elihu's Lessons, the Unity of Life. Again, Elihu met his pupils in the sacred grove and said, "No man lives unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cords to every other living thing. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do to other men what they would not have other men do unto them. There are two selves, the higher and lower self. The higher self is human spirit clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The lower self is what the higher self is not. The lower self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. The higher self is mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, and satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. It gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores are full of bitterness and gall. If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves, and you well have studied them. And then would ask me what to study next, I would reply, yourselves. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world, knows of the things that pass away. And he who knows his higher self knows Allah, knows well the things that cannot pass away. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the perils of the lower self and is himself his higher self. Men seek salvation from an evil that deems a living monster of the netherworld, and they have gods that are but demons in disguise, all powerful, yet full of jealousy and hate and lust, whose favors must be bought with costly sacrifice of fruits and of the lives of birds and animals and humankind. And yet these gods possess no ears to hear, no eyes to see, no heart to sympathize, no power to save. This evil is a myth. These gods are made of air and clothed with the shadow of a thought. The only devil from which man must be redeemed is self, the lower self. If man would find his devil, he must look within. His name is self. If man would find his savior, he must look within. And when the demon self has been dethroned, the savior, love, will be exalted to the throne of power. The David of the light is purity, who slays the strong Goliath of the dark and seats the savior, love, upon the throne. Islam, Islam, Islam. At this time, we want to turn the meeting back into the hands of our National Assistant Grand Sheikh, our host, Dr. Sheto Amenti and Mohedded Shepsuel. Islam?
Islamism without the schism. Islam, Moorish Americans. We want to rise again upon the seven within the circle of justice, mercy, love, and right, and give all praises to the great God Allah, Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution, and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything. And I do mean everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Again, we want to welcome you to another Egyptian Adeptus Research Sultanate session. And I'm your host instructor, Dr. Shahid Imani Mohadi Shabazel. And my ancient Comedian high name being the same is Dr. Shedu Minti El Mohajid Sheptuel. And we have a most powerful drawing to bring on the manifest, Moorish kin, this morning. We got a grand drawing, to bring to our people. And we're going to most definitely go into depth. We've been dealing with the Rosetta Stone using the hammer of repetition because it is necessary that our people really understood what has been done. And, we are really dedicating ourselves to going into a lot of, the attestations as it relates to the papyri, and really going into seeing what has been said. And we're going to do this pretty much with all of the papyri that we have, so it's a lot of ground to cover ahead of us, in the future sessions as it relates to this, because we already have many measures of showing you certain elements, like some things to be pointed out in regards to dealing with the so-called decipherment, that should end all argumentation based upon this special subject matter. Just knowing that, the claim of the three languages that are on the stone, out of all of those languages, neither of those languages are hieratic. So we asked then the question, how is it if the glyphs that were superimposed on here, which we found out that they've been doctored, the metaneta portion, how is it that the so-called Greek, which we know is really Hecopter, and the so-called Demotic, which is really second Inshet, these three languages, they would call it, not us, because we don't consider the metaneta a language in the sense that they consider it. We understand that these are formulas. But out of the two scripts that's in there that they are calling Greek and Demotic, there is no hieratic present. And we know these are all different scripts. So how is it that Demotic in Greek, is used coming from 196 BC to transliterate and decipher hieratic when hieratic is nowhere on the stone? See, now that's a new question right there to pose to our people. If there's no hieratic in those portions on the Rosetta Stone, then how is it that Champollion is all of a sudden deciphering hieratic? Because we know that the oldest attestations, when it comes to dealing with the actual facsimile copies, these are in hieratic. So somebody got some explaining to do just from that aspect right there. You know what? And before I even go deeper into my measure, I want to ask my scribes what they think about that. Scribes, how in the world are they using Demotic in what they're calling Greek, right? How are they using this to deal with hieratic. And we already know the stone comes from 196 BC, long after the ancestors. And there is no hieratic on there. How are they doing this? Ain't that something right there that should raise a red flag, Scribes?
And definitely it should raise a red flag. It sounds like remixing to me, and we already seen the scratch outs at the top of the demonstration. You know, that's just another side demonstration. So it's a mixture of falsehood. Some
Islamism without the schism.
So
Islam.
I thought about debate. I saw his mic unmuted. Thought he was going to say something first. Anyway,
Islam. I had it double muted, so that's my fault. Fine about
go ahead.
Islam gratitude. Oh, but there's a reason why we're doing what we're doing, and to see that one, they had cut into it. They had cut into it and then grinded it down. You see that they're trying to make their own history. They're trying to make their own version of what, his story, because it has no factual basis. We know that hieratic is the oldest. You figure that if anything would be on there, it would be the hieratic and demotic. It would not be just the demotic. It would, or even the Greek. What do they call that? Not the Greek, because it's really Abyssinia, but it's crazy that the lengths that they would go through in order to fabricate a history when they know that somebody was gonna tell the truth. And I'm glad it was us, Islam.
Islamism without the schism. All right, brother Marvin Edwards Bay.
Gratitude. Yeah, this is Dr. Marvin Edwards Bay out of the Texas territory. Praise and honors have been given. Yeah, I could reiterate what the brother just said. Hieratic, that was the beginning of the language, so if that's not there, then there's something missing, and that was sacred. Scribe used the hieratic for communication between themselves for the most part. I put it like that. Then later came the Demotic when they wanted to go into, say, rapid writing, to and contain or entail, legal documents and such. So it's plain. We've done the research, and so yeah, just a fabrication. Islam.
And Islamism, and that's very important. And the reason we have to emphasize this, because some of our people don't know the seriousness, and how critical this is when we are speaking on this particular subject matter. Some of our people have no idea, as to what has taken place and what these people have done when it comes to dealing with the history, and just again to show our people what's going on and what we are referring to, because the hieratic predates the Rosetta Stone. And once you can keep that in mind, you can follow exactly what it is that we are saying, without a problem. So this is their self-proclaimed Rosetta Stone. We already know that there was some alteration done, and this is actually a replica of it. A lot of time when you see, this particular portion, it was reproduced. You can even buy copies yourself, and certain people amongst our people actually have claimed to be Kemetic, and they done brought copies of this and they got them sitting all up as whatnots in their house and don't know that this was a decree to oppress their ancestors. That's like putting a COINTELPRO document up there, on the wall and putting it in a plaque for what they did to our ancestors, in the modern time when they deal with the civil rights movements. Basically, J. Edgar Hoover in this modern time would have been Ptolemy, in the ancient time. So would you put that document of COINTELPRO, and the decrees that they came up with, considering our people, enemies of the state, would you put that in a frame on a wall and put it up there? Because that's basically what the Rosetta was to our ancestors. It was a stele, so to speak, we can say an artifact that glorified oppressing the native Egyptians. So how can you claim to be pro-Kemet and promote something that deals with the suppression of the original people that was in Kemet? It don't make no sense. And then fight tooth and nail to defend this, that's on a whole nother level. So out of all of these, this is what they would consider the MATHENO'S portion, which we find out a lot of this stuff is doctored. They put so-called cartouches in there with the name Ptolemy, which that they would tell you that's Ptolemy right there. And then they came down here and the same thing was done. And what it was actually Egyptian priests that were under duress, that were forced to write these things in here and include Ptolemy. 196 BC, 196 years before Christ was born, as according to the Gregorian calendar. So this was not a language in the first place. This is formulas. We already established this, MATHENO'S. It has always been taught this prior to the 18th, 19th century. The last priest, Apollo, would tell you these things were symbolic. They had different meaning. So we know these are formulas. We proved it. We're going to get deeper into that even in the future, because we got to put works out here in relation to dealing with it. So here is the Demotic, or the second ancient portion, that they are trying to say this portion is a version of this. And then they have the so-called Greek, which we know Greek, didn't exist until they came up with their so-called Greek civilization, which really don't exist either. And this is really Hecopter. We proven all of this. This stuff we done proved many times. You can go into history and look at the videos, and we went over this on numerous occasions. So those who have been faithfully following and watching what we are talking about, then they know what we're referring to. We don't have to reiterate that to them. But to those who are new, you got to know what it is that we're speaking of. So if you have in what they call hieroglyphics here, sacred engravings or carving, so to speak, which is not a written language, but engraved. You see, we showed you the last video of the European, who wrote the Chemieroglyphics book, telling you that these things were doctored. The Rosetta Stone was fake. We went into all that. But you don't see hieratic anywhere in here. And we know hieratic predated this stone by thousands of years, because it goes all the way back to 4700 BC. That's a very long time, ahead of this particular relic that they have here. So how can you use this relic as a tool of decipherment? And we already know Champollion didn't even have the original copy. He was working off of a replica when he did his so-called decipherment. He had never been to Kemet. He had never seen the actual Rosetta Stone. See, there are a lot of things that we can raise up here, and that's the reason why his works were never accepted, even beyond his death. The French government never accepted Champollion's works and writings. They basically exiled his scholarship, because those who end up coming into power were the same people that were Champollion's teachers. And they said that he was a charlatan. They said that none of the works that he had in regards to dealing with this so-called methodology of decipherment could be used to translate anything that made sense. This is his teachers. So when they came to power, the Sauce and, Thomas Young, which was his peer, they all said that he was a thief and he was a liar, basically, Champollion. See, a lot of our people don't know this history. They just talk and say Champollion used the Rosetta Stone. No, he used a replica of the Rosetta Stone. And again, the Rosetta Stone was produced years, later, thousands of years after the ancient Egyptians that already had their own language. So you would have to have some relic from the ancient Egyptians that would correspond with Champollion's methodology, if it is to be true. Because every nation that we know of, going back thousands of years ago, be it, the Hebrews who went back to a certain period of time, as far as dealing with the biblical narrative, because, the biblical text in its original form, the books, they are older than the Rosetta Stone by thousands of years. And they have an alphabet system, alphabet chart that relates to the Torah, Paleo Hebrew, and it comes even up into the form of Masoretic text in the modern time. Because a lot of people think the Masoretic text of the box Hebrew is the original Hebrew, but they have an alphabet chart. That's something that you can't find in regards to dealing with these pictures. There is no pictorial alphabet chart that was created by the ancient Egyptians. It don't exist. And this is where we came into a deadlock with these brothers on these other platforms, like Brother Reggie and Smash Rockwell and a few more of them, who tried to challenge what it is that we've been demonstrating. They could never produce a chart, and they call themselves trying to blackball the truth. They want to silence the truth, but you can't do it. So anybody, and we're going to drop a link in here too for those who would like to, once we open up in a little bit, we're going to do that so we can hear from some of our family. If you have an alphabet chart that comes from the ancient Egyptians that predates the existence of this Rosetta Stone in 196 BC, 196 years before Christ, if you can produce that, then do it. But other than that, you have to admit and say, well, the methodology that they are using for decipherment comes from Champollion and has nothing to do with the ancient Egyptians. And once you can admit that, then you can get into understanding, what we are doing here. You see, so with all of that we just laid out, it don't get no plainer than that. Now, we have an alphabet chart as it relates to the Demotic alphabet. You see us working with it. We have an alphabet chart as it relates to the Greek, as they like to call it, but it's really Hecopter. It ain't Greek. We have that alphabet chart, and then we have a little chart they created from the so-called Greek with the Latin. We have Phoenician alphabet charts. We have Arabic alphabet charts. Every nation has alphabet charts, except when we come up here to what is called Metanetta. There is no alphabet chart outside of the one created by Champollion in the 18th, 19th, end of the 18th and entering into the 19th century. It don't exist. It don't exist. So that being said, you could never use this as a tool of decipherment because, again, the hieratic documents that go back thousands of years ago, which is different from these two languages even, and most definitely this one, it's not on here. So how is it that Champollion, again, is using this to decipher a language that is not even featured on the Rosetta Stone? I'm going to let my scribe speak one more time on this, and we're going to go a little deeper. Islam. Go ahead, scribes. Don't get no plainer than that, do it.
Not at all. And that was a powerful measure that you brought forth. How is it when even during contemporary times of Champollion, they were speaking that he was a charlatan and a thief? Islam.
It's gracious. And our people talking about the Rosetta Stone, and they don't even know the history behind it. All they doing is parroting. Oh, Potter, Rosetta. You know, and they don't even know the history behind the stone. This is terrible.
Islam?
Come on in here, Moors. Islam, Brother Marvin Evans, baby.
Yes, sir. I was just looking at the goddess Sina Renee's apartment, Steve's comment. Say, Islam, if their education is limited to Greek, could that be the reason? Yeah, you know, they only go so far, you know what I mean? And if they only accept what was told them by the say conqueror, you know, you're only going to see a misdirection, you know what I mean, a miseducation, you know. But you broke it down thoroughly, you know what I mean, at least for this point in time as we move forward. Gratitude.
Islam. And also dealing with the mindset of the people that went into Kemet specifically to pillage and tear down, because the doors had been open for them, like dealing with Socrates, Plato, etc., to take the lessons. You know, they open up the doors for the Europeans, get some of the lessons, take it back to your people. And even when they did, they were either cast out or exiled, in prison, etc. So this mindset, come in, pillage, take what you can, and then bury the fact that these are the original people where the lessons came from. This is where we learn from, and try to bury the truth. So what more burying of the truth do you need than to confound the so-called language and make it look as if you are the creators of everything? I'm the father of medicine. I'm the father of this and that. This is our language, and those before us were barbaric. And that's in their so-called history books. Islam?
That's right. You know, and that's powerful. Now, right here in the book, the Ancient Egyptian Universal Writing Modes, and I encourage our family to get a copy out of this particular work. Native-born Egyptian, Brother Mustafa Gadala. Very much clarity. On page 269, and I'm reading from it right now. He was speaking. He said, pre-existence of the proclaimed Greek alphabetical letter forms in ancient Egypt. He said all the proclaimed Greek letter forms were found in abundance throughout ancient Egypt long time before the Greeks, meaning they existed long before the Greeks come in. As shown clearly in Petrie's Formation of Alphabets, and that's the book written by William Petrie, you know, the Formation of Alphabets. Mustafa Gadala is using the scholarship of the European pretty much to beat them up with it. And it basically says, as is shown in different locations throughout this book, more tables will be presented in this chapter to show the sameness of letter forms in ancient Egypt, much earlier than the Western proclaimed Greek. That the Greek alphabet is of Egyptian, later Semitic origin is undisputed. The sequence of letters and their graphic forms and their names have no semantic value in Greek and are strictly Greek pronunciations of the Egyptian later Semitic letter names. And then he quotes Isaac Taylor, which we have been showing you a lot of the alphabet charts that we have from Isaac Taylor as well, in his book, The History of the Alphabet, Volume 1, page 74. And Mustafa Gadala quotes, not only do the names of Greek letters or alphabet thus testify to the Semitic origin or asemitic origin, but the arrangement of the characters prove that they were handed over in the form of a complete alphabet by the Semites to the Greeks. He said, Western academics want us to believe that Greek came from the Semitic Phoenician alphabetical letter forms. If we accept Western academia's claim of Phoenician source of Greek alphabet, all evidence proves that the Phoenicians adopted the Egyptian writing system 100%. And that's something that we've been telling y'all, that straight out of the hieratic comes the Phoenician. It says indirectly or directly, ancient Egypt is the source of the Greek alphabet, so-called Greek alphabet. This is Mustafa Gadala, a native-born Egyptian. He said other classical writers also stated that Egypt was the original source of alphabet. As explained in the following quotation from Isaac Taylor's book, The History of the Alphabet, volume 1, page 83. This is Isaac Taylor, Egyptologist, speaking. Listen, Eusebius has preserved a passage from the alleged writings of the so-called tyrant, historian, Sanchoniathon, and from which we gather the Phoenicians did not claim to be themselves the inventor of the art of writing, but admitted that it was attained by them from Egypt. Plato, Diodorus Siculus, Plutarch, Oleus Gellius, and Tacitus all repeat the same statement. And these particular ones, every one of them people that was named right there, have even obtained the title of being priests themselves and scribes themselves. But they also state that the language that we call metaneta, the pictures, they also state that these were symbolic, just like Horapollo. It's only after these people, when Champollion come on the manifest, you know, many centuries later, many years later, that they change the narrative. You see, but it goes on, it says, thereby proving how widely current throughout the ancient world was the opinion that the ultimate origin of letters must be sought in Egypt. It may suffice to quote the words of Tacitus, who says, you know, and they just go into another language, Permii, Figuris, Animalium, Egyptis, Sensus, Mentis. This is basically going into the history of showing, you know, that the language comes out of Egypt, is what it was saying in their own language. But it says, below are early Greek inscriptions from a vase found in Athens, followed by 4 rock-cut inscriptions, Thera Gelb, exactly like ancient Egyptian letter forms. Assembled below are the most proclaimed inscriptions as being Greek from various locations in Greece. And even this alphabet that they're talking about right now, which is very similar to the alphabet known as Iberic, you know, Egyptian Iberic, Iberic Egyptian, you know, that's basically what it's based on. You don't see that on the stone neither. But it says assembled below are the most proclaimed inscriptions as being Greek for various locations in Greece. It is obvious that such letter forms are found exactly in ancient Egypt, long before, during, and after the times of such new few inscriptions. It says, for reference to letter forms in ancient Egypt, refer to chapter 12 in this book, as well as Petrie's book, The Formation of the Alphabet. And you can go online and Google Books and download The Formation of the Alphabet of Petrie if you want to go into the copies. You know, so he showed different copies of these works, you know, and it shows also Isaac Taylor. You know, it goes into some quotations from Isaac Taylor as well, but it states after it shows an alphabet chart, and we'll go into this a little later, and probably put some, maybe some, if I can take pictures of what I'm reading from, you can see it. But it states robbing and post-dating Egyptian scripts to rename them as Greek. It says, in order to rob Egypt of a script so as to call it Greek, Western academic schemes begin with confusing the issue about ancient Egyptian alphabetical writing system. It says, the fact remains that the so-called hieratic, which is known as Medarete Incomet, and Demotic, which is known as Second Inshet again, these scripts are nothing more than a single alphabetical system for non-religious writings. Western academia colonized the Coptic script that was used by the ancient Egyptians for their religious writings so as to accredit the European Greeks with a new language. Did you hear that? Listen to what it says. Western academia colonized the Coptic script that was used by the ancient Egyptians for their religious writings so as to accredit the European Greeks with a new language. Body bag. So it says the Western scheme regarding inventing a separate Greek language needed documents, and therefore they robbed Egyptian documents and set arbitrary dates to undated Egyptian texts so as to make them fit into their scheme to proclaim them as Greek texts. Is Mustafa Gadala making itself clear? It says they went further, add names of Ptolemaic kings when the text never mentioned a name, which we proved this. We done had our scholars and our scribes go up here and show you that these things were superimposed. They did it last week. So, and I just showed you a few minutes ago when I was talking about the cartouche that they had put into the stone. We seen that the stone has been doctored on. It says when the text never mentioned a name because, as always in ancient Egypt, no calendrial date is ever mentioned. So there is no date mentioned on a lot of these things, so they can put their date on it, and so they are post date. That means they're putting the date on there after the fact and telling you it's dated from here, it's dated from there, and all they got to do is tell you that they done did some type of carbon dating, and hide the truth from you. It says no calendrial date is ever mentioned, and Egyptians never mention the name of a sitting pharaoh. It says much more about the corruption and deceit of Western academics in this regard was explained earlier, chapter 9, multiple writing forms on the Rosetta Stone. Then he quotes Isaac Taylor again in his book, The History of the Alphabet, page 150, admits the oldest extant specimens of Greek manuscripts have been obtained from Egypt. Thus, Egypt was the rich source of the proclaimed Greek scripts. The biggest portion of the Egyptian robbery to claim it as Greek came from the Anastasi collection of several thousands of Egyptian papyri from Egypt. See chapter 14 for more details. Here's another stunning admission of the Egyptian origin, E.G.T. Turner. It says, because one would have expected that at minimum, the proclaimed Greek papyri came from areas that had Greek presence. However, that was not the case, as admitted at least twice by E.G. Turner in his book, Greek Papyri, an Introduction, page 143. But the site of Alexandria has provided no papyri, and this is right in the region of where they found Rosetta Stone, right in that same area. It says, nor has the ancient Greek foundation of Necrotis, to which Sappho's brother went trading, nor has the purely Greek city of Ptolemais in Upper Egypt. It says, Turner also states in his book, Greek Papyri, an introduction on page 43, in Middle Egypt, the number of places at which Greek papyri have been found are few in relation to the ancient populations in the area. And they say, here's a summary of, Mustafa Gadala stated, here's a summary of Western falsification scheme. After cavalierly, proclaiming an Egyptian document as being Greek, Western academics twist facts so everything must be reconciled towards that Greek end. As detailed in chapter 9 of this book about the Rosetta Stone, a similar falsification scheme was used to make an Egyptian document into a Greek document. This corrupt, pathetic scheme has been used over and over again on hundreds of Egyptian documents as following. The place of its origin and location. Western academics made up a location and gave it a Greek-sounding name for emphasis, to camouflage its location as being an Egyptian site. E.G. Turner, in his book, Greek Manuscripts of the Ancient World, says the absence of criteria for determining the place at which the papyrus manuscript was written is a more serious impediment to knowledge than is commonly realized. Dating falsehoods. This is the very essential in their Western scheme to fabricate a date that falls within the short Ptolemaic era in Egypt. It is worth repeating that all such Egyptian texts follow the very same limited information, only showing 1, the day and month of the lunar calendar, 2, the day and month and season of the solar Solstice calendar, which are those dates that you see, you know, in their version of the translation of the Rosetta Stone, the ring and year of the sitting pharaoh. The year of the ring of the sitting pharaoh only refers to the title of such pharaoh and never to his name, as is the case on the Rosetta Stone. Here again is another pathetic attempt by Western academia to insert the name of a Ptolemaic ruler where the text clearly did not name such a person, king or ruler. And we showed you this. We done showed you. All you got to do is go look at the previous videos in this session, because all of the videos, this is the 6th lesson here. Go all the way back to the first one, and you're going to see that we were showing you how these people done added stuff in here. You know, it says E.G. Turner in his book, Greek Manuscripts of the Ancient World, says on page 21, in the ancient world, the writers of private letters to judge from, those that survive on papyrus, for the most part, did not put a date on their correspondence. Similarly, in literary scribes remain dateless. This is E.G. Turner saying this in his book as well. So Mustafa Gadala states on point 3, shameless change of the word priestly to Greek. Calling the writing style Greek is a lie. Just like I've been saying, no such thing as no Greek. For according to Budge himself, in his book, Rosetta Stone, Volume 1, and they quote E. Wallace Budge, Budge admits, and you'll know we always give Budge his props, because one thing about E. Wallace Budge, he gonna tell you that he wasn't qualified. He gonna tell you he was guessing, you know, so we can't help but accept him in his honesty, you know, for that right there. But it says, but when this is Budge speaking, E. Wallace Budge, he said, but when the allusion is to Greek, the word used is called a very old one. It says, and is in the dual. H. Ho-Nubi, the germ H. Ah-Nubu, the lords of the north. You know, and I had some people say, no, Nebu can't be Lord, it got to be Neb. Budge is saying Nebu right here. Because I had did, you know, what was considered a transliteration, and it was actually based on the hieratic, and I showed the reverse engineered version that they tried to create in pictorials, you know, and I'll show that in a second too. But it says, air lords of the marshes in the delta occurs in the pyramid text. And he says, a Nebu. You see, Nebu. But it says, Budge admits that the term used is found in the pyramid text 3,000 years prior to the Greeks. The original pyramid text is written in hieratic. Everything you see in pictorials is doctored. It's a what we call transcribed version. And we showed you what transcription means. So it states additionally, the Egyptian word does not say anything about marshes or north. It only simply means priestly, as translated as such hundreds of times from Egyptian documents of all eras by the very same Western academics. The priestly style is a unical style. It says, as discussed earlier in this book, it is this style that was dubbed the Egyptian Coptic style that is found in the ancient Egyptian text documents a long time before the Greeks. So they're trying to say Coptic come from Greeks, but Mustafa Gadala letting you know they post-dated thing. The Coptic was before the Greek. And I actually showed you a chart of this, you know, in a couple of previous sessions. You know, so it says Coptic style that is found in the ancient Egyptian texts and documents a long time before the Greeks. You know, then it says shamelessly substituting God and goddesses for a Ptolemaic king and queen. It says, under the cover of claiming conjectural translation, Western academia went wild, as their prime objective is to show the European Greeks as superiors and masters of the Egyptians. They took the liberty of translating terms like our masters, nobles, and even Neteru gods and goddesses to mean Ptolemaic kings and queens, i.e. Ptolemy, Cleopatra, and so forth and so on. Academia went even further by putting Ptolemaic names when the words and terms were all generic titles, epithets. And epithets describe characteristics, of the deity, so to speak. But it says the text reads as per Budge's Rosetta Stone book, volume 1, page 169, E. Wallace Budge again, in the 23rd year of the reign of Horus Ra the child, who had risen as a king upon the throne of his father, the lord of the shrines of Nekhebet and Ukhet, the mighty one of twofold strength and beautifier of. No name is mentioned of a Ptolemy. So it's showing you in Wallace Budge measure where they had inserted Ptolemy in the documents that we even going through now. And you can see where they putting brackets there, because the brackets are showing that this was inserted into the text and it wasn't there, just like in a biblical text. Like sometime in the Quran, you'll see the Arabs insert the name Muhammad, or they'll put the prophet there, and it's not really mentioned that way in the text. Or you'll see where they might put the name Messiah, Logos, different areas in the Bible, in its original text, and it's not there. So it says self-serving conjectural decipherment. Under the cover of conjectural translations, we find translated text to be more than fivefold the length of the text itself. And that's what I was showing y'all. You see, look at this. This is what he's talking about. When you look at the amount of writing, you know how many letters that is right there? Demotic, and to try to compare.
You can't see.
Itself. Yeah, I'm sorry, family. I wasn't. Let me reshare this here. Thank you, Scribes. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so we pointed this out ourselves. Do you see how many letters here and how less it is up here in regards to dealing with what is metal? You see how many letters in here compared to that? That's a telltale sign that something ain't right in and of itself. Just by the amount of letters here and letters here that they done squeezed on here and trying to say it's metal up here. Come on now. Make sense even by that. So he said here, too much added to serve Western academics' bad intentions. They peppered the text with Greek names, repeated a name or two over and over again, despite the fact that the text itself, according to their own interpretation, did not include such names. They put names whenever the text read Neter, God, Lord, Mighty, Lord of two lands. We're going to show you this in a minute now. The same thing they talking about. And, then it talked about magic pamper with multiple styles of writing. So we're gonna show you this. We're going to get into this. This is what we talking about getting into right now. You know what I mean? But Mustafa Gadala did a good job. I'm going to show you this book too, by the way, so that y'all can get this if you don't have it. Islam, good brother Scribe, go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to say, do you intend to have the screen split in half?
No. I see what's going on here, though. All is well. And I go back and reiterate what I was showing. This is what I was talking about a few minutes ago, family. Right here. If you look into this, and I can go to a better shot of it, but it's way more letters here in the so-called Greek and so-called Demotic than you find up here. You can just see by this section, that anybody could see that something ain't right there. I'm gonna try to go to a copy with more clarity that I can actually blow it up real quick so that you can see. And this is also to let you know what the area of Rosetta is. If you notice, this is Lower Kemet. This is actually the area where the Hyksos came in as well. This is right up here, right here in the area where the Greeks settled at. It ain't strange they settled here, because the more you go up the Upper Nile, the more you go into, the true inhabitants and what the indigenous people were. let me see here. I'm trying to find a good copy that I can expand. This one here may allow me to do it in crystal links. Let's see. I'm gonna hit view image. Let's see. No, it's distorted. It's a distorted version. Let's see here. Okay, this one may do it. No, that one gonna be distorted too. Hold on, it may be all right. Let's see. No, it won't adjust either. So let me go to, it's one of them. One of them gonna give us what we looking for. Okay, let's see if this one will allow us to do it. Okay, this one here does. Now look at this, people. This is the metal netter, and this is what they was talking about, where they had inside. Oh my goodness. You can actually see right here in this area right here where they doctored it. And this, to them, they would say this is Ptolemy, right? They would say this is the PTH. You know, it's real small. So hold on, let me see. They would say that this is the PTH, and this will be the Y. You can see the doctrine right here, though. This would be the Y to them, according to them. Ptolemy, Ankh, you know, which is basically the ever-living Ptolemy is what they try to translate this as. Then you'll see again Ptolemy throw it off in here again. Then you'll see Ptolemy throw it off in here again, and they look created demonstration that they came up with. This is where he say they peppered, you know, this measure in here, and they did the same thing. Oh my goodness. You can even see a slash down through the Demotic right here on this particular demonstration here. I wondered that they messed around and cut down into it by mistake. But look at the letters here that they are claiming supposed to be right. And they're trying to say that what's being said up there is the same thing being said here. Do you know how many letters that is? Do you know how many letters that is? In the Demotic. Now come up here. Do you know how many letters that is in the so-called Greek, which is really Coptic? This is Egyptian. Look at this. We can't make this stuff up, people. We cannot make this stuff up. And we can even tell, you know, just dealing with that alone, that something ain't right. You know what I mean? They give a little history right here on Rosetta, Egypt, just where I showed you. It says the city of Rosetta, or Rashid in Egypt, is an enclave. It says in the Mediterranean Sea, famous because it was here that the Rosetta Stone was found, a key to the discovery of ancient Egypt. There they go again. Rosetta is located about 65 kilometers northeast of Alexandria. It states in the Middle Ages, it says this was a very important site for trade due to its strategic location. This importance continued to increase with the construction of Mahmoudiya Canal and the improvement of the port of Alexandria. More with the decline of Alexandria itself after the Ottoman conquest of Egypt in the 16th century, it emerged. At that time, the decline of Alexandria served Rosetta to witness a flourishing that was stopped with the emergence of Alexandria again. By the 19th century, it had become a popular tourist designation among the English. Where is Rosetta town is located? I don't know why these people, that don't make no sense, but it is what it is. Rosetta is a port city of the Nile Delta, 65 kilometers, 40 miles east of Alexandria. In Egypt's Bahira Governorate, the history of Rosetta, Egypt. The site of Rosetta was inhabited throughout the history of ancient Egypt, then known as Rakit, a hieratic word meaning the populace under the Menes ring. And Menes was the one that united Lower and Upper Kemet. So from now on, we know that the true word in hieratic, it didn't say a hieroglyphic word, it said a hieratic word, meaning the populace, rocket, but we ain't gonna call it the rocket stone, because we already know the Ptolemies came. We're gonna call it the Ptolemaic stone from now on. So rocket is the true name of the area that they now call Rosetta. It says in the Ptolemaic era, the town was renamed Bolbetin or Bobetinum, the name of one of the 7 mouths of the Nile in Herodotus, or Herodotus, some people say. It states the city of Rashid was called by this name in relation with the ancient Egyptian name Rakhet, and that's Arabic. It says, meaning Rashid is Arabic, which became the later Rashet. It says later in the Coptic era when the Rosetta Stone was discovered in this city. So Rashet is the Coptic name, Rekhet is the Hieratic name, and Rashid is the Arabic name. It says it is a stone thanks to which the symbols of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic writing were dissolved. I want to see what this word, right? We know what dissolve means, but they saying the Egyptian hieroglyphic writing were dissolved. They letting you know this is really when it came to an end. So how you gonna try to use it up here? In this aspect, dissolve has to do with to become a cause incorporated with liquid so as to form a solution. Like I told you here, in this case, close down, dismiss. In other words, disband, de-establish, dismiss, bring to an end. So if the language came to the end during this time, whatever, how you gonna use it? And this is supposed to be a actual copy. There it is right there. Look at the distortion and the bad scribesmanship. We ain't never seen no documents look this distorted. You can see like that other European was saying, like they took a chisel, not even a chisel, but a drill bit, and they went to work on this thing. You know what I mean? Look at this. They showing you what the real one looked like as opposed to the one they done doctored up, and tried to make look a little better with more clarity. So it says it is impossible to talk about the town of Rosetta without mentioning the Rosetta Stone. This stone is a fragment of an Egyptian stele inscribed with a decree that was published in Memphis for the year 196 BC, 196 years before Christ. I said it earlier, right? Found in 1799. This decree is written in 3 different scripts, which are the Egyptian hieroglyphics in the upper text, a Demotic script in the middle part, and ancient Greek in the lower part, which we know, again, we just went over that. Mustafa Gadala told you, himself, that all this is hogwash. And it was because of the presence of these 3 inscriptions, but you don't see hieratic in there, do you? It was because of the presence of these 3 inscriptions that a giant step was taken in the modern understanding of Egyptian hieroglyphics. They go to lies. Herein lies their great importance for appreciation of this culture from a new perspective. The stone was found by French soldiers under the command of a French captain, Pierre Francois Bucher, on July the 19th, 1799. But before this, it is believed that it was placed in a temple and moved in the Middle Ages to be used as a building material near the town of then called Rashid. Because of the triumph of the British troops over the French in Egypt during 1801, the stone came under the British possession with the capitulation of Alexandria, and it was transported to London, where since 1802 it has been exhibited in the British Museum with the important title of being the most visited piece in the place. This is not for nothing, because this stone represented an essential reference for the current understanding of literature and what was the civilization of ancient Egypt. How, Sway? However, the Rosetta Stone has been at the center of controversy among the nations over where it stood to be displayed. Arguments range from the transfer of the stone into French hands into the British during the Napoleonic Wars to the value of Young's and Champollion's translation contributions, to demands for the return of the stone to its place of origin in Egypt. What to see in visiting Rosetta Rashid? In this city, located 65 kilometers from Alexandria, you will find several tourist attractions that are worth knowing to discover even more of facade of Egyptian culture. In particular, it says, I recommend you to explore it if you are staying in Alexandria so that you can vary your stay a little more. It says, in Rashid, you will find examples of Delta-style mansions all over the city. And these mansions date back to the Ottoman era from the 18th and 19th century. These houses have been restored and now have very striking facades, it says, with the details that make them stand out, such as the cases of built-in beams, carved lintels, and white or red paint. This gives them a unique appearance. What to do in Rosetta Rashid, Egypt? Although the city is recognized or associated mostly for being the place where the Rosetta Stone was found, as I mentioned, it is not found there, but in the British Museum. However, there are other options to discover the tourist aspect of this city. One of the most interesting points is the Al Ali Mahdi Mosque. It says this mosque stands out for being very peculiar, and this is because it is supported by a large number of columns that are presumed to have been stolen from other styles and civilizations. Therefore, you will find Roman and Greek columns, even columns that are believed to have belonged to the pulpits of Coptic churches. Another interesting visit you can make in Rosetta Rashid, or the Rashid Museum. This museum has objects from civilizations that have passed through this town over the years. This is how you will find in this museum weapons and documents belonging to this category. The building where it is located is in itself a real attraction because, thanks to this restoration, it boasts wonderful architecture, which is adorned by the gardens that surround it and decorated with great style. So this is some of the stuff it's stating about Rosetta, in the history of the Rosetta Stone. And we're going to go now into a few of these things here, and go into the document again as our scribes did. But before I do this, I do want to hear from our scribes again. Islamism.
Part of this, me or my mind is saying that they took one thing is this: you can't enslave a group of people. And for one, you had to enslave a group of people that had to be powerful enough that you wanted their position. And they had enough information to sustain civilization, for millenniums to come. And so that's my understanding of what their modality is in order for them to. That's the reason why they took the language over. That's the reason why they created this Rosetta Stone. And what this Rosetta Stone remind me when they found that they tried to say the oldest person in the world was European, and his leg was a cricket bat. You know what I'm saying? And so like I said, the lengths they would go through in order for them to inject themselves into being the creators of civilization without actually doing the work. And I think there was a song on Rick Ross's album where he said that, and it was a snippet from a documentary where the dude said that you don't have to do or go through the processes that other people go through. All you got to do is take their information and pass it on as your own. So basically, that's all they did, and you can see with the way that they do their just like when Plato and them, what is it, Aristotle and all them, got the books, and I might be naming them wrong, but Socrates and them, that they got those books from Alexander, or Alexandria, and they took the information and shorthanded all the information, and then reissued those as like they were theirs. So a part of their protocol is to get someone to understand something in short form, and they'll give somebody a book, do this, and then reissue it in how you would say it. And so they try to find this alternative meaning, or like the the new terminology, alternative facts, in order to and produce alternative facts in order to try to swindle scholarship. Try to not just scholarship, but what is it? The process. What the ancestors that came up with, those are, I want to say, thousands, hundreds of thousands of years of experience and information, trial by error. And all of a sudden you come in 5,000 years, 6,000 years, and say that, hey, this is my information, this is what we're going to present, and we're going to interject ourselves. And the fact that you wanted to take those names of Netta, because the people that have risen to those statuses of power, they all carried the same dynamic. They all carried the same characteristics. So there was no need for them to put a name on it and say it was this God, or it was that God, because God is all knowing. And if God is all knowing and you are part of the great God, there was no need for me to interject my name, because you are the embodiment of that grand ideal. And so a person that want to inject themselves in it, you trying to take ownership for something that, one, you couldn't even explain. That's why you manufacture Jesus. So you take these documents and you or these, the Rosetta, you try to create the Rosetta Stone. You take this information and fleece the people, and then you got people standing on on that information. You know what I'm saying, and don't even know that they're really showing a great level of insanity to some degree. Because you're short. You're not even doing the full research into going back to see. You're taking on what your oppressors gave you, which means you are only getting trained in their ideologies. You're not even being trained. You're not even being educated to think for yourself. Because even if you think for yourself and you look at this information, you can tell that it's not theirs. And that's all I got to say with this information. But Islam, gratitude.
And Islam and gratitude, brother, for that drawing. We want our family that's watching us, to go to war in the algorithms by hitting that like button and also hitting that share button. Because as you can see, like our brother Born Dog said, he hadn't been getting notifications. So we want to make sure that our people can get this information, and they can see what's going on. So be sure to hit that like and share and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Well, all right. Any other scribe would like to make a comment? Islamism without the schism.
Also, on that note, Dr. Shahi, when I went to go share to my Facebook, I didn't even see the share button on that class from last night. Okay. So yeah. But in reference to our class this morning and what was brought forth, giving honor to you for the reading from the various source materials, especially Mustafa Gondola. And I was thinking on the same lines as Bati Bey, because that master word of dissolved, dealing with close down, dismiss, bring to an end. And I can recall, just in various areas of research where if a European declared this is a dead language, so be it. We go along to get along, et cetera, et cetera. So if one is not studying and doing the research, we were trained to just accept what the European handed to us as gospel, not do the research And because it was so confounded, even if you did try to do the research, you couldn't really find anything or have a grasp of what was going on because it was so fragmented, whether in Germany or France or Britain or what have you. And so we see that today, even when it comes down to more science. You see where the original historical documents are, what Prophet has brought, and as soon as it's put out there to the public, even when it comes down to our flag, well, you know what? I want to make it an orange flag with some black writing or what have you, and then stamp it as mine. So that's the same MO that Rome has used to keep us buried in this shallow grave. Remix it, put my name on it, throw some other confounding demonstrations in there, try to burn up the library so you can't go back and do the research, and think that they can declare something dead. And this took a great conspiracy. Now, when you were speaking about the, I think his name was Thomas, that actually came out and said, no, he ain't right, dealing with Champollion. So in my research prior to these classes that have been brought forth, you didn't find that. And I knew in my heart that we have to go into cultures or other languages to find what the actual transliteration was to be able to get at the truth. And the more that you dig and research, just like Exhuming of a Nation, the book dealing with exhuming of the language, then we actually are finding the truth, because you cannot bury the truth. Islam.
And Islamism, it don't get no plainer than that, Grand National Secretary of State. And I'm going to present my screen. There were two discussions I was supposed to have, with certain individuals that never happened. Let me make sure I enlarge this screen here. Okay, this was supposed to be a conversation of dialogue. They like to call it debate between me and the brother Tahuti. And it was pretty much going to be the same thing in regards to dealing with even Reggie. But neither one of these conversations have, because, you have people that bluff like they want to have this conversation, but they really didn't want to do this. And, this was my lineup. And a lot of this information here. Hard Self family. Yeah, this was my lineup, what I was going to come forth with in my intellectual onslaught. First and foremost, the definition of the word hieroglyphs, and also establishing hieratic as a different language. And it was only read from one direction. Then emphasize certain key words that our people need to look out for. Like I was telling you, the Rosetta Stone to me is not a Ptolemaic stone. So we have Ptolemaic hieroglyphs. So everything just dealing with this measure alone, and this deals with the other 7,000 glyphs that were added in the Ptolemaic era. So the very decipherment of Champollion is based on Ptolemaic hieroglyphs. It's not even based on the glyphs, or the metal netta of ancient Kemet. So you have to separate the two. You have to know the difference between the two. But if you don't know what you're looking at, you will be promoting, the adversarial point of view. And all the while, you don't even know that you're promoting. You have people that have images on their backdrop and they don't even know that these are Ptolemaic images. These are images that come from the remix. This is how you know people don't know what they demonstrate. And they're doing it because it looked good. And because it looks like antiquity, it looks ancient, they don't even know they're promoting a temple that has been pillaged and restored and doctored under the Ptolemaic era. So we got to be careful with that too. Know what you posted before you post something. So Ptolemaic hieroglyphs are not the metal netta of our ancestors. Ptolemaic hieroglyphs came into existence in 196 BC. Or we can even go back and say 3300 BC. Not 3300, but 33 BC, so to speak. Not 33 BC. I'm talking about 333 BC. which is during the time of Alexander the Greek. We can even take it back there if you want to. But then you have what you call cryptographic hieroglyphs, which were also created, under the Ptolemaic regime. Then you have what I have pointed out, what they are really referred to as their pseudo hieroglyphs. We proved this. Reverse engineering is the process by which they created these pseudo hieroglyphs. Egyptianizing. Look up these words and you will see that this all is referring to words scientifically, we can say scholastically. These are terms that you can find what they have done. The radiocarbon rock date deception, where they'll take something that is, according to them, an ancient rock and then put some inscription in it. All of a sudden, now the inscription is as ancient as the rock is. See, these people are very clever, but they never foreseen, this intellectual boom that would take place as a result of the age of information, in the form of the internet. They didn't know this. So now we can see this. Rosetta Stone Ptolemaic propaganda tool to suppress the native Egyptian uprising. Why would the native Egyptians have to be uprising in their own native land? Because in the Rosetta Stone or the Ptolemaic stone, they are constantly referring to the natives as rebels. The audacity. How you going to be a rebel in your own land? Rosetta Stone created 196 BC. Rosetta Stone had no hieratic script. Same thing I said. And also, where's Champollion's Coptic dictionary based off of the Rosetta Stone decipherment? Because he's supposed to have a dictionary. Why they ain't put that out there to the public? It says hieroglyphs are not written. They are carved. That's why they are known as sacred engravings. Sacred inscriptions and so forth and so on. The true name, anaglyphs. I went into that in didactic art. So, I went into a lot of this. I showed, how they were trying to use the glyphs and compare them to Demotic. Right here. And we showed John Ackerblad's chart, right here, 1763, 1819. And it shows what they would like to call the Greek, what we would call Coptic, as it is compared, letter by letter. That's more accurate than what your boy was doing, Champollion was doing. We showed you the stone. We just spoke on this, so we ain't got to go there. But this was the stuff that I was getting ready to put on that brother. Even right here where you can see the insertion of this so-called created cartouche. And I actually had live links, that you could actually, let me see if it let me click on it. Let's see. There we go. It won't let me open that. No, let me do this here. Sometime I end up having to, there we go. And so, I could click on them. I had live links. I had started doing that with a lot of my presentations, where to take you to the websites and everything. I was showing here, on one of the most accurate charts that was brought forth, and this is actually coming from the works of the same scholars Mustafa Gadala was quoting. Hold up right here. Let me do this here. This is actually coming from Google Books. I don't know why that link is not live. Because I did have different versions of this, and I went and I also, so I'm going to copy it and paste it so you can see where I got this information from. A lot of people be asking, well, where you get that from? Where the information come from? Okay, there we go. So I'm going to copy it and paste it over here so you can see. So this is going to give you the link to the Google book that I got it from. Should have been a live link, but it ain't. This is the alphabet. And this is by Isaac Taylor right here. This whole book is on here. It actually went right to the same thing that I have on here. So this is Isaac Taylor, who Mustafa Gadala was quoting. That's where this section come from. And he was speaking here. He says the argument of preceding pages may now be restated categorically as follows. The Semitic occupation of Egypt lasted for several centuries, and the origin of the Semitic alphabet is connected with this occupation by three distinct lines of evidence. The first is external. The sojourn of Israel in Egypt is nearly synchronous, it says, with the Hyksos period. So here's Isaac Taylor speaking of the Hyksos period here too, for those who believe that they were, the so-called Hebrews were never there. But it says, before the Hebrews went down into Egypt, the art of writing was unknown to them. When they came out of Egypt, they possessed it. And this is where they come up with their creation of their script that was totally different, from what we see now as Hebrew. It says the inference seems clear it must have been acquired from the kindred races who occupied the Delta. The internal evidence points to the same conclusion. It says the forms of the Semitic letters were not derived from monumental hieroglyphics. So the Hebrew, in its original language wasn't derived from hieroglyphics, and they referring to the Paleo-Hebrew, but from the cursive hieratic. And here's the hieratic right here. And that's actually what's being said up here. That's hieratic, and then they have Phoenician. So the Hebrew comes directly from the Phoenician, which is really the same thing. This would be what they would call their Paleo-Hebrew evolved from. You see what I'm saying? So that actually looked like it says Jerusalem, but that's a whole nother message. This is the tablet compiled from DeRogue. This is DeRogue's chart here. So yeah, it goes into it. The origin of the alphabet. I have all of that stuff in here. I done went through a lot of this before, but there was no hieratic anywhere on that chart. The hieratic alphabet is nowhere, on the Rosetta Stone. This is also, these Palais Oblis examples. The Palais Oblis also is another tool that Champollion was using. It goes on, and it's just like it's over and over, family. If that brother would have sat down and we had that conversation, it wasn't going to be well for it. You know what I mean? This is an example too, for example, on how they come up with fake hieroglyphics that were found in about almost unlikely place for genuine Egyptian writing in Australia. See that right there? That's a doctor form of glyphs. So these people, they've been doing this. And they call them the Gosford glyphs. About 100 Egyptian hieroglyphs in the area replete with aboriginal petroglyphs. Giant kangaroos and men with spears. Some of the hieroglyphs appear to be genuine, in the sense they appear to be fairly true copies of actual Egyptian written symbols, but none of them are authentically ancient. None was seen before 1975, despite the fact that the local surveyor Alan Dash had visited the region, or been visiting the region since 1968. Dash further reports that after his first encounter with the hieroglyph in 1975, for the next 5 years, each time he visited the area, a new glyphs had appeared. And during a visit in 1984, Dash actually discovered the culprit, or perhaps he was one of several inscribing hieroglyphs into the rock face. Though within the boundaries of an Australian national park and blatantly illegal, the perpetrator was not arrested, as he appeared to be mentally ill. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Oh my goodness. If he can do this now, you don't think that the people can do the same thing? With the Rosetta Stone? Ain't nothing new under the sun, family. So we have a whole bunch of things that also deal with fake or forged glyphs. The small pyramid, Egyptological evidence for the construction of the small pyramid by Menkaure. Menkaure lived 2490 to 24/7 BC the mastaba tombs of the Giza Plateau with inscriptions dating from the 4th dynasty, hieroglyphs for Menkarinus carved into the outer casing of the pyramid, a sarcophagus lid with hieroglyphics for Menkure, now scientifically proven to have been forged by Howard Vicey. Come on, man. And they had a couple of more of them on here. You know, here's one here, hieroglyphics painted in the red and relieving chambers above the king's chamber. Now, in the Great Pyramid discovered by Howard Vicey in 1837, there's an ongoing argument among Egyptologists about whether these hieroglyphs are also fake, as they contain a spelling mistake corresponding to the hieroglyphic standard of the time of discovery. It says hieroglyphics painted by construction workers with red paint and relieving chambers above the king's chamber discovered by Howard Vicey. It says a Vicey. It says exposed as a forgery, notably on the right side, copied by mistake in the first symbol, which renders Ray instead of CH. You know what I mean? So like they've been doing this. Here's the drawings here. When I was talking about Romanizing and all that right there. And this is an excerpt from different books. You know, and it speaks on the Mensa Icica bronze tablet bearing images of many gods adorned with the imagery of hieroglyphs. It undoubtedly came from the Icium Compascens, the great temple of the goddess in Isis in Rome. When Champollion saw the Mensa Icica in the 19th century, he immediately dismissed it as a false and modern forgery because of its spurious hieroglyphs. But far from being fake, it is an authentic Roman creation, designed for Roman purposes of worship by people who neither knew nor cared that its hieroglyphs were nonsensical. So here the Romans have created their own thing. Champollion said it was fake, to my surprise, being that he created his own fake ones. It says that caused a quite bit of confusion in later centuries when the Mensa Icica, you can find the Mensa Icica, you know, if you look it up. In fact, what I'm going to do, let me see. I'm going to do this. If they have a copy of it. What they are referring to, the Bimbine tablet. Right here. This is a paper version of it. And this is created by the Romans. This is the actual measure right here. Now, somebody don't know no better. They'll take this and they'll put this right on their they'll take this and they'll put this right on their backdrop, not knowing it was considered Roman. But we can see at least they did depict it, showing a little melanation going on here. And this probably was during the time that those people that was considered Romans, and that looked more Roman-like in the modern sense of the word. Look at that. They got the Bedet disc with the Sebet there, the star. So, you know, this is what Champollion dismissed as being fake. And like they said, it was really authentic. You know, this is a recreation of it, and we don't see that darker complexion that some of them things had. You know, that's how Rome do it. You know, the Mensa Icica. You know, and this is actually a work that was written. You see, they got the hand of the mysteries up there too. Let me show you that image. The Mensa Icica. Got a couple of those copies. But yeah, this is powerful. It's a lot of stuff up in here I'm seeing. So we can see that the Romans have always been romanicizing, so to speak. about what it is our ancestors had created. You know, this is also something coming from there. I see it speaking of the Bimbine, expositionalism. I can see that right there being mentioned. So, yeah. Here's another measure from the Chessitor Museum, where they have some more copies up here. So, you know, this is the thing that was being demonstrated. They call this, you know, Egyptian romanticizing, so to speak. You know, they were creating different things. You know, this is the influence that our ancestors had. Again, that's the Mensa Icica. You know, that's another copy of it. You know, but again, Champollion dismissed these things as being, and we would call them anaglyphs, but he dismissed them as being forgeries. The audacity, knowing he was forging something. So, you know, it says, again, you know, a famous example is the so-called Mensa Icica, a bronze tablet bearing many images of the gods and adorned with their imaginary hieroglyphs, undoubtedly came from the Isicum Campensis, the great temple of the goddess Isis in Rome. When Champollion saw the Mensa Icica in the 19th century, he immediately dismissed it as a false and modern forgery because of its spurious hieroglyphs. But far from being fake, it is an authentic Roman creation designed for Roman purposes of worship by people who neither knew nor cared that its hieroglyphs were nonsensical. That caused quite a bit of confusion in later centuries when the Mensa Icica and similar Romanized Egyptian artifacts were used as evidence for the decipherment of the hieroglyphs. So they fell back on these same things to try to use it as an evidence for the decipherment of the hieroglyphs that Champollion come up with. Italy became seeded with Egyptian artifacts, some taken from Egypt, others made at home, that would emerge and draw attention to Egypt during the centuries to come. As a historian of Roman Egyptomania has observed, by the 2nd century CE distinctively, Egyptian decoration styles, architecture, and religion had become part of the cultural fabric of Roman Italy, with official imperial approval and sponsorship, especially under the Emperor Hadrian. So, you know, they have measures up here, you know, where they speak of a fake Heliopolis obelisk, Sesostris I, Heliopolis Medan el Masala, you know, hieroglyphs. And they go and show what these things were. You know, Sesostris Heliopolis fallen and plundered. Thutmosis III, Heliopolis, New York. You know, Seaport summoned hieroglyphs. Thutmosis, Heliopolis, London. F2 hieroglyphs. Ramesses, second Seti, Heliopolis. Pisa del Popolo, Tiu hieroglyphs. All these are supposed to be fakes. You know, Pisa di Montecitorio, something like that. And then we have Pisa della Rotonda, St. Peter Square, Termini, all these places, you know, where you can find, you know, these fake romanticized demonstrations, you know. And so it goes on, talking about how a second major phase of eager interest of Egypt arose during the Renaissance, a natural consequence of intense focus on classical antiquity and classical texts. Knowledge of Egypt was derived mostly from the ancient authors whose manuscripts were being avidly collected and read. The texts were supplemented by the Egyptian and Egyptianizing, listen to that word, monuments of Rome, some always on the view from antiquity and others newly uncovered. The obelisk, as a symbol of imperial conquest, was used and reused in Rome. We even have one that's called the Washington Monument, repositioned in new settings, and with new meanings. It says, under papal patronage, Egypt was revered as a source of wisdom and spiritual insight. Elements of Egyptian religion, especially Hermeticism, were regarded as an anticipation of Christianity. The search for ancient precedents and the yearning to read hieroglyphs even led to faunas of archaeological evidence. the print press accelerated popular and scholarly interest in Egypt, and especially its hieroglyphs. With the widespread distribution of books, some with extensive illustrations such as Hypernotomachia, look like Palophily, it says this medieval style story of hero who pursues his ideal, Poleia, it says, as a personification of antiquity through a dreamscape of ancient remains filled with Egyptian. And this is another measure of book. Let me hit that hide button real quick right there. Hold up. And I can actually go to the book. This link is not live too, I can see. So I can just copy it though. And then go up there and show you, where I got this from. So let me hit this here, put it here, and show you the actual text. So everything I say, they be talking about I ain't showing you no sources, right? And this is dealing with Cleopatra or Sphinx Revisited. And let me see right here. I just had it. And this was written by Margaret M. Miles down here. But this is where I got this from. From this particular book. It goes into that information. There's a lot more than what I have there. But, I got all this stuff right here, family. Showing you how this stuff was Romanized. Then I showed, in the Webster's Dictionary, hieratic, what it means, if associated with the priest or the priesthood of or relating to simplified cursive style, and they say of Egyptian hieroglyphics. This is the Roman way of trying to come in and tell you that, oh, well, this is nothing more than hieroglyphics. And that's how they try to ease it in there on the Rosetta Stone and then say that this was a decipherment. But when we come here and we give honors to our brother Walter Williams, when he made Reggie pull this up, hieroglyphics, Sekha glyphins or carvings of or relating to a system of writing of that of ancient Egypt in which pictorial symbols are used to represent words and sounds. 2, which pictorial symbols are used to represent words and sounds. 2, written with hieroglyphic symbols, difficult to read or decipher. That's one of the definitions. Hieroglyphic, a picture or symbol used in hieroglyphic writing, hieroglyphic writing, illegible or undecipherable writing. You can't decipher it. So how you going to say it was deciphered? This is our brother Walter Williams' position. Something resembling a hieroglyphic and being indecipherable. So there's definition in relation to dealing with hieroglyphic that means that it can't be deciphered. These again represent what we call formulas. They are not to be deciphered, they are to be decoded. But we'll get into that on another time. And so even the term hieroglyphic was actually applied to certain other languages that didn't have nothing to do with Egypt, prior to it being applied to other people. So this is postscript, the signal. Consider the physical signal. Say light that contains data, dots, dashes, traveling from A to B in space and time and speed of light. The signal arrives containing the data and potential meaning. But the meaning is not fully bestowed on until the mind interprets or understands that data. When the data arrives, it can be thought of as gibberish and having no meaning, or having undecipherable meaning, such as hieroglyphics, Chinese, or whether we don't have Chinese dictionary. And that's the whole thing. That's what makes the glyphs undecipherable, because you can't find an ancient Egyptian alphabet chart. That's why it's undecipherable in the way that they're demonstrated. Now, when they created their little thing and they doing that, and they calling that their decipherment, call it a Ptolemaic decipherment based upon the Ptolemaic stone. But that's not the decipherment of the ancient ancestors. Period. Yeah, you deciphered according to the Ptolemaic stone, but you didn't decipher that according to the ancestors. That's why the discussion was supposed to be, was the Rosetta Stone or the ancient Egyptian language deciphered according to the ancient ancestors? And they knew they couldn't prove it. That's why they never wanted to take that discussion. You know what I mean? So it says, how are we to access this situation? If it is gibberish, we do not understand the packaging or the content of the signal. In addition, we do not know if there isn't any hidden secret data. which could have a meaning, which I'm telling you, that's what it represents. Metal netta represent most definitely, as we spoke of, things to be decoded, because there's encoded formulas. It says, if it is undecipherable, we understand from the construction of the package that it might contain meaningful data, but we don't understand the content of the package. And Champollion didn't understand the content of the package, so how he gonna come forth according to the ancient ancestors? And he don't know that, and he using a replica, and then he get praised for deciphering a language that he didn't decipher. The enigmatic hieroglyphic monad suggests Egypt, and in this riddle context reminds us of the riddle of the Sphinx. We think of Odysseus. The way of solving riddles leads to blindness. A solved riddle is the reduction of the heterogeneous material to logic. It says a solved, well, pardon self, it says to the homogeneity, it says of logical thought, which produces a blind spot, the inability to see the otherness that gets lost in the reduction. Only the unsolved riddle. The process of the riddle work before its final completion is a confrontation with otherness. Hieroglyphs themselves are hieroglyphics, right? Are a sort of riddle. Indeed, like a rebus, they represent pictures which are whole and not unified, and can only be read if one distinguishes the elements. Hieroglyphic has a figurative sense of having a hidden meaning, and also hard to read, undecipherable, as if the mysterious hieroglyphic monad were itself a hieroglyph. This reader cannot determine if it is undecipherable or has a hidden meaning she cannot uncover. You know what I mean? So these are many different people that are giving examples from different works, dealing with these things. They were speaking as the term bird glyphic noted above indicates, the magicians understood the letters of the hieroglyphic the alphabet as symbolic images comparable to Egyptian hieroglyphs. These hieroglyphs were, of course, visible at the time to everyone in Egypt. Temples and monuments were still standing, and the hieroglyphs could be inspected with awe and admiration, but only a few scholars were still able to read them. It says some interesting passages in the PGM inform us about the use of hieroglyphs by the magicians. The Charm of Solomon, that's 4 and 850, and that's page 929. That's a book, contains this reference. Come to me, in man, a little boy, and tell me accurately, since I speak your names, which thrice the greatest Hermes wrote in Heliopolis with hieroglyphic letters. It says, what follows a list of Egyptian divine names, all having to do with Osiris. One does not get the impression that this magician is able to actually. I mean, you have a whole bunch of things. We even went into the example of showing you how easy it is to create our own set of glyphs by comparing them to the English. And so we went there, and then we basically came up with a measure, and we took it to Google Translate. Many of us seen this. A lot of them was trying to run over this when I was on the brothers channel, Sonetta, and they were trying to say, brother, how you gonna create this and put that on the manifest? I'm showing you what Champollion did. You know what I mean? I'm showing you the same thing that Champollion did. And you see the Daim. Let's go over here because I got my Google Translate open. I'm gonna show you what this was translating as. I created that on the spot, and this was the plainest aspect of showing them, a working knowledge of what's being said here, right? Hold up. Give me a second. Because I want to make sure I put everything in here exactly as it was. Then I had baked. Yeah, that was baked. And I got to detect the language too. Let's see. Baked. And the last one was, let me go over here. Away. been a minute since I put this up here. Let me see if it'll detect it. It should do it. Translate. I ain't even got to do that. I'm gonna do this because I can actually do it this way as well. Let me see here. We'll just go and do it this way. And it should convert it back to its original form. Where is it? It's not letting it convert it back. Probably because I hadn't been in here a long time. Where's that thing? Let me go back over here again and see if it'll allow me. It's the wrong one. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's see. All right. And it disappeared. What in the world? And they had it up here too. It wasn't German. Wasn't the English. I don't know why it won't detect the language. It ain't detecting the language. It's not doing it. Now when I act crazy. Let me try to do it again. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Wow, it ain't even translating. It basically, this is basically supposed to be the house of Ali, basically, is what it's supposed to translate. I'm gonna see if I can do it this way. I'm gonna try it this way. What happened? And they still didn't put it in there. They put Beit Elaine. And they translated a different way.
You think it's possible to maybe go out of Google Translate and come back in because it's acting funny?
Yeah, I mean, it's letting me translate, but the thing is, it's changing up what it's saying. So it's working, but and I can still do the same thing with what was here. You know, if I were to get that example, you know, with this portion that they put up here with the Arabic hill, Beit Elaine, you know, which is the translation of this House of Ali demonstration. I'm only trying to show our family. If I were to take these same letters here, right, based on the English language, the Beit Elaine, I'm gonna blow that up a little bit, right? And if I were to, let's just say I did this right here. I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna do it this way. This is a better way to do it. Let's just say I were to put because I was using the Arabic. Let's just say I put Allah Allahu Akbar, right? And I would have this Allahu Akbar based on all these letters. So this would make this particular letter be the A. This man with his hand in his mouth, right? Then this would be the L, right? 2 lions, right? And then this, and I'm going to actually do this too in a second. This H right here will be these 2 dots here, which they don't really have an attestation, so the dots will represent H here. This is the way they put it together, and this is based on the Mirror-itic script. I use the Mirror-itic script because it ain't never been deciphered, so to speak. And then we have the U, which would be here, right? Which represents the head of the cow, you know. And then we have Akbar going back to the A again, you know. Then we have the K going up here, which would be the goose, you know. And then we have the B going up here, which would be the cow, you know. And this is the A again, which would be the man again, and then the letter R, you know, which would be here. And so I'll show you how this is done. So now that we have created the alphabet chart based on the Mirror-itic, we applied the English letters to it. If I go up here, you know, in the conversion, the language conversion, and I come down here to the chart, it's going to basically bring those letters up just like I brought it up. I'm trying to see it right here. Where is it? Come on down here. Where you at? You in here, you in here. Okay, there we go, right there. You see that? I just converted that. Now you see it converted to exactly what I showed it was, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that's how easy it is to create an alphabet chart, as we said before, and basically bring this measure up this way. That's Arabic. Allahu Akbar with the English alphabet. And again, there it go. That's the man. That's the lion. Where he at? You know, and they go to lion again. We already know this is Allah, A, right? L, right? And then we go over here, we see the A again. Then this is the H, remember? Right here, H. Then we have who, H again. Then this is the U, which is right here, right? Then A, right? Then we have K, see, the bird. Then we have the ox here, right? Ox, B, right? Which comes up here. Then we have A again. Then we have the letter R, which is right here. Allahu Akbar. That's how easy it is to do what Champollion did, and they praising him for this nonsense. Now notice, I got the English alphabet. Not the Arabic alphabet, but the English alphabet. You see? And I'm dealing with an Arabic word here. Allahu Akbar. Now watch this. I'm going to convert it back. Right? That's Allahu Akbar. So now what I was trying to do, which I don't know why it wouldn't let me convert it to what it was supposed to be converted to on the Google Translate earlier. Now let's go over here and see. Uh-oh. Close it up by mistake. Get that tab back on there. Google Translate. What I was trying to do is this. So we're going to take Allahu Akbar and put it in here. We're going to take this out right here because for some reason it is not where it's supposed to be. I don't know what they got going on. But Allahu Akbar translated into the English, Allah is the greatest. You see what I'm saying? And now look, there's 3 different languages, so to speak. They want to put it that way. Let's look at this as our Rosetta Stone. This is the top portion, which would deal with the pictorials. You know, this is our other portion, which is dealing with the English language. And then we got the portion that's dealing with the Arabic breakdown of it. You know what I mean? So like Champollion ain't did nothing that made him 3/4 slick, you know, to a dime. And actually I did have Bait a lean here, which was the proper measure here actually on the manifest right here too, by the way. You know, and this was the same one that we had up here. So that was a correction on that. But nevertheless, look right here. If I convert these images right here, let's go back. And it should come. Let's see if it'll convert. There you go. Yep, there you go. See, that's what I was trying to do a few minutes ago. See, it converted it back to the Beit Elin, which is the word that I had just pulled up in Google Translate before I did the Allahu Akbar. So when we go back, there it go. You know what I mean? The house of Ali is basically what this is. And so what was supposed to happen when I went in Google Translate, you know, the Bayat Elin, you know, was basically what happened when I just showed you the example a few minutes ago. And that's actually Elin, I want to say. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm spelling that right too. Yeah, Elin, that was right. Bayat Elin. Okay. We didn't type that in there. We'll do it this way right here. Just typing directly into the Arabic. I'm gonna put my letter in there. No, I want that. I'm gonna do this here. And we'll do it the reverse way because this keeps bringing that other thing up. That should have been exactly it there. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. What? Okay, so let me go back over here. I got the two eyes up there. Yeah, that's it. And then, and they actually spelling it different right here. Again, Ali and, which is really sound shifting is what's going on here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll do it this way. Because it's supposed to be the translation that comes up. Let's hit Arabic. It's supposed to come up as, or better yet, we can do it this way. Because they ain't yielding it that way. What? Did it not get what I typed in? Okay. Goodness gracious. What in the world wrong got going on this morning? It's not yielding it the same way that it should be. There it is. It popped up over there. That's what I was trying to show. See, Beit Elin, the house of Ali. You know what I mean? Just like every different word, and this would be the Arabic breakdown right here. For some reason, I don't know why that thing is acting kind of crazy. But anyway, that's this. The house of Ali would be the English translation of this. So we have, again, the pictorial script. Then we have the Arabic, you know, and it is the house of Ali is what it is. So all that being created from a chart that I created just randomly. So I'm showing you basically how the European did this. This is what Champollion did. He took a few pictures of his chosen measure and then put them next to what he liked to call the Greek or the Coptic, you know, in the Demotic script, and then said that he deciphered the language, you know. And I mean, it don't get no plainer than that right there, family. You know, it don't get no plainer than that. I just demonstrated what he did, you know. And once you understand that, you see how he was able to come up with this fake transcription and these fake glyphs to do this. So again, I want to open this up, and then I'm gonna dive into some of the Rosetta Stone briefly and their translations. I want to see what our scribes had to say about what we presented thus far, because it may have been some things that they hadn't really been seen in the first time that I showed some of this stuff. Islam scribes.
Islam,
Grand Secretary of State.
having already risen, giving praise and honor where due. I tell you, it's just amazing. Just me to be able to see the listing. Let me tell you what we really did. Okay, dealing with reverse engineering, radiocarbon, rock date deception, and just basically the thing that was really mind blowing was you already saying, especially Champollion, that it was a fake when it came down to coming out of Kemet, but yet we still gonna take this and accept it as truth because we as Romans created this. We don't care if the hieroglyphs are willy-nilly or what have you. It's our creation. So later for what you say as far as coming out of Kemet, even that's where it was stolen from. But we're going to authenticate our own. That's the mindset. So, just to see the list. And let me show you what we did in your face. You know what I mean? And these things have remained hidden for thousands of years. So that thing was really just mind-boggling. The audacity coming from that level.
Islamism Grand Secretary of the State. Also, just in the light of what we said too, I do this here just briefly. I ain't gonna go over all this. I just want to show our family what we just was talking about. The example on how we was able to create that little chart that we made up, and see, this is Champollion's table of hieroglyphic phonetic characters with their Demotic and Greek equivalents, right? So this is his little thing he was putting together here. Here go his little letters he put on the side that he wanted to correspond letter by letter with pictures. So he did this by putting these pictures beside the Greek alphabet. Didn't I just show you how I did it with the English?
Yes.
Look at that. And he did, that's the so-called Greek. Now this is the so-called Greek too, but it's really Demotic. Here's another chart where they was doing that same comparison after Champollion. You see what I'm saying? So like, we cannot make this stuff up. Yeah. Yeah.
Powerful.
They went all up through there doing this here. And people don't know. So this is a doctored language.
Yeah.
I mean, what more? And then they use this too, which is, the Albanian obelisk. This was another demonstration that deal with being, other different type of facsimiles that they created.
We the conquerors.
Yeah, we the conquerors. We did this.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? They did this in more than one area. Look over there. This is another drawing right here. And a lot of this stuff, see pseudo hieroglyphs right over there, in them same areas. That's the Albany, the actual Albany, the one I was showing you. To complete this brief overview of Borgia and Albania obelisks, a few words ought to be devoted to the nature of their hieroglyphic inscriptions. From an epigraphic viewpoint, they present a number of idiosyncrasies, recurrent inversions of signs, and arcuately shaped hieroglyphs. Note especially the unusual width of the T, sign in most of its occurrences, that are generally believed to be a diagnostic of hieroglyphic inscription carved in Italy rather than in Egypt by craftsmen who were not conversant with traditional proportions of the signs that they were reproducing. This is in Italy now. And they talking about the same obelisk right here. See, that's the T they was talking about right there. Up the top, supposed to be the T. This is a obelisk. Remember, I showed you the fake one they created in Australia. Like, come on, man. You know, this is all dealing with pseudo hieroglyphs. Watch this. This is the book right here, people. Y'all think I be making this stuff up. And at first, when I started saying pseudo hieroglyphs, I thought I was coining the phrase, and found out that it was really some pseudo hieroglyphs for real, and they were Ptolemaic hieroglyphs. You know, we showing you the pictures, and we showing you, we giving it to you. Egypt in the classic world, cross-cultural encounters in antiquity by Paul Getty. That's what it's come from. Pseudo hieroglyphs. Pseudo hieroglyphs. You see it right here in the link itself. You know, they talking about that in here. You know what I mean? So, like, hold up. Pages 1 of 6. Let's see something. They go right in here and they tell you in this information, family, you know, about all this stuff. So you go in here, you're going to find exactly what was being said in here. Look at this. Now that is something that's very important to look at right there. Look at this. Roman appropriation of Egyptian artworks and iconography, particularly the iconic form of the obelisk, has long intrigued scholars, but has not been fully understood. Luigi Pratta's essay sheds a new light on one of the exhibition's most remarkable objects, and Romano Egyptian obelisk from Benevento, look like Benevento. It says that ancient Beneventum, it says Italy. It says now in the collection of Museo del Sanio. It says its twin, which stands in the cities of Piazza Papiniano. It says it is strikingly that the emperor of individuals honoring him commissioned obelisks made of Egyptian granite carved with hieroglyphic inscriptions, had them erected. Hieroglyphics were incomprehensible to virtually everybody in Rome, and even in Egypt, only the most learned, it says, among the intelligentsia. It says typically priests would have been able to read and write the archaic language and script. Why did the Romans choose such an esoteric writing system for some of their most splendid public monuments? Why record a message in an inaccessible script? You know, and it says Pratt tackles these related issues while also looking at the identity of those who composed and inscribed such silent hieroglyphic inscriptions. His study includes a definitive critical rendition of the inscriptions, both of the obelisk of Benevento and updating all previous scholarship. So, you know, they go into all this stuff in this book, talking about these fake, you know, glyphs, you know, remix or Romanized glyphs that they came up with. You have to go into the book to read the whole thing and get this information. I'm just putting it out here so you'll know where I came up with this stuff from. You know what I mean? This is the Boo symbol scripts that they have up here that they created. You know, a lot of this stuff is exposing these people, you know, for the thieves that they are. So let me go back, because like I said, I want to touch on some of our other drawings. I just want to show our family how much information is out here on these pseudo hieroglyphs. Here's another one here. Where it is. Okay. Copy. Let me see. Paste here. Let me go. I just go in the same link area here. That way I ain't got to keep opening up links, because I know if I do that, that's going to stop. See that there? Pseudo hieroglyphs, they scripts and alphabets. This book right here cover all of it. Y'all think I just be making this stuff up. Look at this. It goes into the work of the hieratic and demotic specialists. You know, different scripts, hieroglyphs and pseudo scripts and alphabets. Look at this. In the late 4th century, the last hieroglyphic inscription were carved on the wall of the Egyptian temple of Pele, which is also a Ptolemaic creation. In the deep south of Egypt, the latest hieroglyphs can be dated precisely from 394 AD, and they followed the rules of an especially intricate variant of the hieroglyphic script that had been current among the Egyptian priests under the Ptolemaic and Roman rule, a code used to record, transmit, and expert knowledge regarding the Egyptian temple religion, which had been accumulated over thousands of years with a narrow priestly circle. By AD 394, its readership had become so narrow that an explanatory note in more widely known Egyptian script, Demotic, was added on the same wall beneath the columns of hieroglyphs. Demotic, a cursive script distantly related to hieroglyphs, would come to an end. Not much later, in the mid-5th century AD, it says the same Pele temple. At that point, the traditional pharaonic scripts gave way to the alphabetic Greek, which had been used increasingly in Egypt since the early 3rd century BC, which inspired the creation of the Coptic alphabet. See how the lie come into play? Henceforth, be used for writing the native Egyptian language itself, also heavily influenced by the Greek. So how is the native Egyptian language going to be heavily influenced by Greek if it came before the Greek? Now look at this pseudo-hieroglyphic stuff that's going on here. You see what I'm saying? This is terrible. This is terrible. You know, man, somebody stop the madness. So all you got to do is out there, family. When I tell you everything that I say, I'm always source up. I ain't just talking to you just to be talking. You know, so yeah, that's what they did. They created their own little language and made you believe it was something other than what it was. You know, so what I'm gonna do, I want to hear from our scribe, the rest of the scribes that was probably coming from our Grand Secretary of State, and then we're gonna go into some of this Rosetta stuff they got. Okay, are you there, scribes? Islam, brother Bati Bey.
Yeah, you know, it's it's crazy how much information is out there to disprove this whole scheme, and the fact that this is what they won't teach because it's not a part of the agenda. So the fact that and that's why I'm not a big fan of schools, because you're being trained. You don't get the whole truth. You get what they want you to believe and push. And you see here that even I got to go back to the prophet, and then I got to go to our chairman, Dr. Elihu Pleasant Bay, Akhenaten Perde Maru, with the book, and how deep in indulged with information that the scholarship, and then what you see before your face. This is it just shows that just a little bit of effort in putting forth when you're going into any mode of study, that you're going to uncover if it's falsehood out on the manifest. And the fact that they will go through, what I'm saying, I don't know how long did they thought that this hoax was going to go on, and that's all I keep, I got to keep reiterating, and it keeps on coming forth in my mind. And I'm glad you put out them books too, the Egypt and the classical world, and then the hieroglyph pseudo script. That gives people, just not the information you gave, but it also, when you're talking about bringing forth this truth, and showing the world that the hieroglyphs is not what they think it is. And the fact, one thing that I was thinking when you were showing the one in Italy is, well, we know what the Vatican is designed to do, and maybe that was part of the process in them putting that there, because they didn't know what was going up in there. Today, the same thing in Washington D.C. They just put an obelisk and they ain't got no inscriptions on it, but they want to show that they have, they have took something from where the scholarship came. And that's to some degree, it may be paying homage, and to some degree, it may be trying to show that they had some type of ownership or involvement in, or the authority to say what was what, and who was who, and we see that this is a lie. And then Ptolemaic, that came from, I believe, the Greeks. So that'll place that lineage, or why that may have been put there. You know what I'm saying? But if the Vatican is what they call the center of the world for, which holds a lot of esoteric knowledge in the basement, because they're not going to be able to use it, but if that holds a lot of it, that's maybe one of the reasons why that was placed there, and ain't nobody else using it. And you've never seen anything come out of Italy that had the hieroglyphs on it. I've never heard of any books that would speak in that form of fashion. You know what I'm saying? So with that, I'll just leave as I come. Peace is love.
It's called intellectual taxidermy. And if anybody knows what taxidermy is as it relates to hunting, because the European always been the big game hunters. This is where you take the head of what it is that you have captured and killed, and then you place it on the wall as a trophy. The European love to place the head of buck and deer on their wall. And so it's the same thing when it comes to the relics that come from our ancestors. It's like the Shriner's jewel, which a lot of people like to refer to, as the crescent and star. But in all actuality, a lot of people don't know those are bingo claws. And the bingo claws represents a snare. And you'll see within one of the jewels, they have the 5-pointed star inverted upside down, and they have the letters AALLAH on it, Allah. And they have the head, of a ruling Roman above that, which is showing the subjugation, of that knowledge that had been taken from the Moors. And it's the same thing. They gloating over the kill. They Washington Monument, yeah, we conquered that. We took that. They got pyramids in the United States of America. Yeah, we took that. You know what I mean? Yeah, they got all of this stuff all over around here, basically gloating over the kill. And so this is what they do. It's intellectual taxidermy. They done stuff. They did that with the guy, the brother they call the patriarch of the Moorish Rite, who they called the father of pure Masonic thought, Angelo Solomon, the Moorish brother. They stuffed him. They say his body was burned up after a little war that took place, but they stuffed him. He was said to be the one who taught Beethoven and, Mozart and so forth and so on. True harmony lodge is what he was said to establish, but the thing is, they stuff the brother body just like they do animals. We got pictures of that. You think I'm playing? Some people say this is actually it right here. Watch this. And they did this to our people. They did this to our people. I'm going to see if it comes up right here. Yeah, there you go. That's supposed to be a bust of his head, but they usually show it.
Can't see.
This is yeah, okay. Yeah, most definitely. Let me open this up for you. Okay. Yeah, we had seen this years ago. We actually got some of this on our Facebook channel where we were showing this. But he was said to be raised up, in Vienna. And he was actually a Moor. He came from, they even have a play right here on him right here, on YouTube. But they have various different measures. This is supposed to be an example of his body, as it was displayed when it was burned up. But they preserved his body. It was stuffed. Just like, everything else that you would find. But they have some more pictures of this. I'm trying to find the exact pictures, the different versions of it. Let me see. It may have it when I go into this. And then let's see, they usually pull pictures associated. Both him and this brother, who I done showed y'all, that was actually called the Moorish Prince. These brothers were, you know, pretty much from the same area, you know, and that's the first brother actually be referred to as a Moor, the Prince among Thieves. I'm trying to find that other. They got a whole bunch of them because they have it with his turban. They have his turban in a museum because he was known to wear his turban. That's a bust of Angelo Solomon. Let's see. You know what? I know what's going on. I'm going to do it this way. I forgot the browser. And I'm trying to change this browser. Let's see. Okay, let's see if it let me. I need a Google browser. There we go. And it'll probably pull it all the way. You'll be surprised. After dealing with this stuff, you become a little knowledgeable. Let's see. And I do it this way. I want you to see them other pictures up here, family. Let's see. And see if it pull them up. Because I know they used to pull them up immediately. They got so much information, look like done come out since then. They got a whole museum. There it is. Remember I was telling y'all about this turban? They have this right here. This is relics in the museum that they have. Let's see if they showing it. They covering it up though. These are the feathers and everything that was in his turban. Okay, let me go back down here again. See, it says that the man who became known as Angelo Solomon was abducted from the African continent as a child and slave. He ended up serving the Prince of Liechtenstein immediately following his death from was most likely a stroke, and body was stuffed and later exhibited. You know what I mean? So here it is here. That's his turban. Look at the pyramids and everything they got there. The feathers and all that right there, family. They put this brother on display. You know, and they say, like they say, his body was burned up. But dealing with Western Freemasonry, they'll say something and still have, you know, the body somewhere hidden somewhere. You know what I mean? That's the way they move. See, they have a depiction up here because he was said to be the father. And look at the garb that he got on. Similar to the way the prophet, you know, dressed or whatever. But, you know, so there's a lot of history that people don't know. Look at all the plays they got on this particular one. You know, so that's what inspired some of them brothers. And the chairman was close friends with Uziel. You know, we got the picture they took together, but that's the one who they came up under. But this is supposed to be a depiction in an Angelo. You know, they got a whole museum in here, but it's crazy. That's what they do. And I call it intellectual taxidermy. You know, where you take a man, you know, stuff him like an animal, you know, and basically you see how it go, what they do. You know, so there's plenty of information out there on it. And the story is out there. Like I said, they got a YouTube video out there where they showing this stuff. They got some more pictures in here. Let me see. I'm gonna put it this way and see what happened. If it'll pull them other pictures up. They might have removed them from the database too. I actually have some of them in my archive, but it's just too much digging to do right now. You know. Yeah, so yeah, they got a whole bunch of different depictions. Like I say, they got videos on the story being told and what happened. But yeah, you see it, you see what I'm talking about so far. This is good enough to give an example right here of what I'm saying, but they actually have other pictures of a different body that actually look exactly like him. And I'll maybe dig them up one day once I go through my archive and find them. Yeah, this is what the Romans do, man. You know, they'll take you and they did it physically here with the man, but in all actuality, you know, this is what they do to the information. And they gloat over the kill. You know, this was a Moor right here. His brother he was a Moor. See? Born in Memandi, Mankit. 1796, was an African-born Austrian Freemason and courtier. He achieved a prominence in Viennese society and Freemasonry. You know, but anyway, you know, when you go into it, it tell you where he came from, how he was took into slavery and all of that. They got pictures of this stuff. But again, they stuffed his body. See, he was called the Royal Moor and the Noble Moor, the Signomic Moor, Mummified Moor. The first two designations refer to the years prior to his death. The term Royal Moor designates Solomon in the context of enslaved Moors at European court, but yet they say there wasn't no Moorish slaves, huh? Well, their skin color marked their inferiority, and they figured as status symbols, betokening the power and the wealth of their owners. Come on, man. It says, bereft of his ancestry and original culture, Solomon was degraded to an exotic oriental sign of his Lord's standing, who was not allowed to live a self-determined existence. The designation Noble Moor describes Solomon as a former court Moor whose ascent up the social ladder due to his marriage with an aristocratic woman made his emancipation possible. During this time, Solomon became a member of the Freemasons, and the larger the Grand Master was certainly considered equal to his fellow Masons, even though he continued to face the thicket of race and class prejudice. At the end of his life, after the death of his European wife, the old man led an austere life that resembled very closely that of a practicing Muslim. He no longer invited friends to dine with him. He never drank anything except water. Angelo Solomon, his youth notwithstanding, had rebelled against conversion, but then likely found it easier to accept with seeming sincerity out of commodity or gratitude. Nevertheless, he seems to have gone back to his original faith in his old age. In other words, he went back to being a Muslim. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you can go into it, the story out there. I'm just showing you how they took this brother and stuffed his body, you know, like they do animals. And this is the same thing. They take the information and stuff the knowledge, you know, with truth and falsehood strangely mixed. And then they put it up there, you know, as a trophy of a reward to themselves. Same thing, family. We can't make this stuff up. Go ahead, Scribe. I know our Scribe got something to say. Even one that done spoke probably want to say something after that.
You know, when I saying that, when you showed it the first time, what was that Texas Chainsaw Massacre where you said rub the lotion on the skin, take the skin out? That's he said, "Uh-oh." No, but that's literally what you. Not to mention, let's because that's a whole nother class in itself. Seeing stuff like that, the purses that were made from the skins of our people's feet, the chairs that were stuffed with our people's hair. That it takes a sick individual to do what you've done to us, and we still haven't caved. That's a testament not to their power, but more to our strength, you know. And it's crazy that you know. And I thought that so I got a question. How far was he either before or behind Crispus Attucks? Islam?
He was born in the 1700s, so give or take, I can't really remember the date of Crispus Attucks right now off the top of my head. But, you know, as you've seen the birth point for this particular brother was in the year 1721 and 1796. You know, that's his birth and his death point. So, you know, you can go and look from that particular level and you'll find out exactly the date between that. Like I said, I can't recall Crispus Attucks off of the head. But yes, sir. You know, you may be able to, let me see. I'm gonna do this right here. Okay, this was and I thought that 1723 to 17. What? How you gonna be born in 1723? Okay, 1723 to 1770. So yeah, he was on the manifest round. They was on the manifest round the same time.
Islam. That's why I was, because you said about him being with in the masonry. So the first person that popped into my head, it was this guy, Crispus Attucks.
Yep. But they call Angelo Solomon the father. You know, or basically really the esoteric information. In other words, he the one that introduced, you know, the more symbolic teachings into that demonstration. Like they talk about what they call speculative and operative degrees. He was the one that they say basically come up with that speculative mindset when it comes to dealing with that stuff. But that's why they call him the father of pure Masonic thought. And the Moorish rite is based on a lot of the Egyptian stuff, or whatever the case may be. Like I say, the chairman met the brother, you know, that they came forth with demonstrating that. And you can see him with our ensigns in his hand, you know, in the picture that him and the chairman took. He got our flag in his hand and seal in his hand. But he had been dealing with the Moors for years. They say that his grandparents wore fezzes, but they didn't have marks on them. But he didn't know whether or not they was Moors or what, but they heard him use the term Moor. You know, that's basically, he said that he wasn't even considering himself the founder, you know, of a measure, but just a door, a gateway to the people having, I guess, a return to certain information. You know, but yeah, it's out there, family. You know, it's all over the place when it comes to dealing with this information. There go the picture right there I'm referring to. You know, the chairman could give you background and tell you exactly who this brother. Yeah, I'm finna share it right now. I just was looking for it while I was speaking. No, even okay, here we go right here. Here's the brother. Right here, him and the chairman together. See that? See, he got the seal in his hand. This brother is the one that founded what they call it. He's their I guess introductory to it. And you see the brother Aket Rael, he be supporting a lot. Of matter of fact, I sent them a message out here, you know, as well, a notification, all them different people, you know, so just showing that our chairman done been all over the place trying to bring teachings to our people. He done sat down with the majority of the people. So yeah, they were the first people that actually started recently speaking on this brother Angelo Solomon, you know. So yeah, it's something else, family. You know, it's a lot of things. Like we even had a rare picture we found from Van Zierde, who took a lot of the pictures during the time. You know, that's the prophet right there, Morris Ken, demonstrating a Shakespeare play, so to speak. And that's from Van Zierde. See, it's a lot of rare information out here. And he was in Newark, New Jersey during the time of the prophet, Van Zierde. He took a lot of pictures during that time. See why I say honest to James Van Deersey, his historical photographer, the man who many rare photos we have today of the Mecca Medina Shriners, Moorish Zionist Temple, you know, the UNIA and the Garveyites. He took all them different pictures back then. Pictures of Father Divine, Daddy Grace, Bill Cosby when he was young, James Van Zierdy was the one that was taking them pictures. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's definitely the prophet right there. Enacting the play of Shakespeare. You know what I mean? But anyway, as we move along, see, like I say, we from the show mistake. We gonna show you. We ain't gonna just tell you. We gonna show you. So man, we can go on and on with that, talking about our holy prophet and so forth and so on. But let us go back to the measure. Like I say, we're gonna open up again for the rest of the scribe that may have something to say, and we just go into the Rosetta Stone, and then we're gonna take this demonstration to the next phase and close it out. Islam. Any other scribe that will have something to say before we open up this measure and go into this papyri real quick?
Islam,
Grand National Secretary of State.
Having already risen, giving praise and honor where due and gratitude again for this class, Dr. Shahid, and to our scribes online and our family online. First thought, sickening. Just sickening, okay? And it makes one be even more determined to demonstrate what the prophet brought to us in reference to having your own, and not be hung up in post-traumatic slave syndrome and copying yourself after or patterning yourself after the slave masters / and straying after gods of Europe of whom you know nothing of. So this just like how, and this is in the Book of Fire as well, in reference to how cultures and other nations, when they have gone through horrific measures, when it comes down to the people, whether it be war or what have you, they encourage their populace to keep in mind what happened. So you never forget, and we recognize the fact that forgetfulness is man's greatest enemy. So we're not doing this to demonstrate a mode of hatred. It's just that we have got to learn our special history, so that we can beware of these various pitfalls and traps and things of that nature, and stand upon the truth, So that's just my measure. It's that is factual, and we have seen that. That's the same MO, same pattern, whether it's language, history or what have you, insert themselves into the demonstration and then try to annihilate the actual truth. But again, you cannot banish the truth, so that makes one even stronger in reference to standing upon what is yours. Islam.
And Islamism, without the schism, Grand National Secretary of the State, it don't get no plainer than the truth.
Pardon self. The other aspect, when you were showing a demonstration in reference to the brother, it had a little caption under there in reference to human zoo, and how his descendants were trying to, protest and stop, plastering that image because it's sacrilege or what have you. So, and they refused, like, who are you? So, it's just, it's a travesty. And this is our people. We are descended from this. So it's a reason why they made all of these attempts to try to keep us buried by any means necessary, destined to never rise again. But again, the arm of the Creator is not weakened. Islam.
In Islam. And also in the light of what you just said, Grand Secretary of the State, look at that. Look at this right here. Taxidermy. Look at what they got up here. Now watch this.
Yeah.
The art of preserving an animal's body by mounting over an armature stuffing for the purpose of display or study. Animals are often but not always portrayed as life in a lifelike state. The word taxidermy describes the process of preserving the animal, but the word is also used to describe the end product, which are called taxidermy mounts. Preferred are referred to as simply taxidermy. The word taxidermy is derived from the ancient Greek word arrangements look like the pure derma, skin. Taxidermy translates to the arrangement of the skin. So even after this so-called height that this brother was supposed to be praised for his knowledge, they still wanted to let him go out as letting it be known he's an animal. You know what I mean? That's terrible. That's terrible. And then the body ended up getting burned up in a building later. They say it was burned up. But we know them Europeans been keeping our ancestors' wallets and purses and all that right there for years. So Allah knows best. But them other pictures look just like the body. And they look like burned up to a certain degree. The pictures that I had, I got them in my archive. I'll dig them up one day. But ain't that something? Goodness gracious. Terrible.
Yeah, and that was part of that scientific racism. They use that term as well under that picture that you showed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Intellectual taxidermy.
Yeah.
That's how you stuff the truth with lies and put it on display as you gloat over your kill. Terrible. Mm-hmm. Well, all right. Other scribes, before I go to this paper.
Islam. One thing I just want to add too is that once you get past the initial, once you start getting to the truth, you really accept truth for what it is, there's no room for hatred at that point in time, because now I think truth breeds acceptance. You know what I'm saying? It's not acceptance saying that we're going to accept, you're allowed to do this again. It's more so the fact that you reached a level of peace. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of us don't want to hear the truth. A lot of us don't want to face the truth, and don't have the means to fight for the truth. So it's and that role, being in that role and being in that position to have to stand on it, for most people seems arduous, and it deters a lot of people, because then you got to be like, man, I think about all the other stuff that I have to go back and relearn. You know what I'm saying? And that's why these classes are very important when it comes down to educating the people, and even language, us having our own language, being separate or being united back with what civilization truly is. Civilization is not going off the language of your oppressor. It's really establishing your own language. Though we know Noble Drew Ali had purified this language, speaking as he does, putting the spirit back into it. Still, we need, like we're doing right now, unfolding, and I think that's all part and parcel. Islam, peace and love.
Peace and love. What about you, Brother Marvin Edwards Bay? You have anything to say? Okay, well, our brother must be about our Father God Allah's business. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show our people this copy of Mustafa Gadala's book, The Egyptian Writing Modes. And then we'll go into the little papyri and just revisit certain things. Okay, here it is right here. They actually have a, what is this? That ain't the whole PDF here. Well, they have some of it up here where he going in. Let me see. Here it is right here. All right, let me share the screen. Okay. Entire screen. And this is the book that we was reading from earlier, family. This one right here. The Ancient Egyptian Universal Writing Modes. And you can go to Amazon. And let me see, do they have the copies up here? Yeah, they got a few copies up here. So you can order it. You got a lot of books here. You like the audio version, you can listen to it. This is actually a sample of the book here, that I seen when I just tried to pull that up. And he touching on a lot of this stuff in here. Tell you the origin of the alphabets, the divine inventor. He goes into all these different chapters of giving this information up. It tell you who he was. He was born in Cairo, 1944, hold a Bachelor of Science and a degree of Civil Engineer from Cairo University. It goes into all of that. He say this book would show that, let me blow that up. This book would show that the ancient Egyptian alphabetical language is the mother and origin of all languages and how it was diffused to become other languages throughout the world. It is the aim of this book to provide such an exposition, one which will, while based on sound scholarship, will present the issues in language comprehensible to non-specialist readers. Technical terms have been kept to a minimum, and these are explained as non-technically as possible in this glossary. He talk about the divided into 17 parts with a total of 24 chapters. Denial, distortion, diversion has 3 chapters. The archetypal primacy of the ancient Egyptian alphabet, concealment of the supreme Egyptian alphabet, the diversion of the Proto-Sinaitic Phoenician connection, formations and forms of Egyptian alphabet writings, genesis of Egyptian alphabetic letters, the Egyptian sound organization of letters, that's the sound shift in the ancient Egyptian alphabetic writing styles, the professors of the Egyptian scribes, multiple writing forms of a single document, multiple writing forms of the Rosetta Stone, the one world language became the many, the baking of the ancient world, the common characteristics of the ancient Egyptian writing, alphabetical writing system, the letter form divergence of world alphabets from its Egyptian origin, the sound divergence of world alphabets from its Egyptian origin, cavalier designation of new languages, the primary linguistic characteristics of the Egyptian language. The primary linguistic characteristics of the Egyptian language, he goes into what that covers: the diffusion of patterns to Asia and Africa, Hebrew and Moses of Egypt, the ancient Egyptian hegemony of Asiatic neighbors, the African connections from Egypt to India and beyond, from Egypt to the Black Sea Basin, Georgia and Armenia, out of Egypt, diffusion patterns to Europe, dealing with the language. Greek, a shameless linguistic heist, which I was reading from these chapters earlier. The European languages will cover the Etruscan, Latin, Hispanic languages, and the absence of any linguistic distinction between them and the ancient Egyptian language. The ancient future of the universal language has 2 chapters. Egyptian alphabetical vocalic language, past, present, and future. The Renaissance and seeking the universal language in the ancient future will cover the overview of the English language in consistent phonetic writing system. The Renaissance search for universal language and how such a language, by all accounts, is the ancient Egyptian language. So Mustafa Gadala saying that all language is ancient Egyptian language in all actuality. Just rebirthed it under other names. So, he even goes into correction On certain translation, the word, the ancient Egyptian word neter and its feminine form, the turt, have been wrongly and possibly intentionally translated as God and goddesses by most and all academians. Neteru, plural of neter and netert, are the divine principles and functions of the one supreme God. He goes into all this stuff, breaking this stuff down, family. The brother wasn't playing with him. And this book is pretty thick. He went into each of the letters, which we've been over these things before. These are the original 28 letters, which are based off of 25, along with the main vowels, A, W, and Y, which are soft consonants, so to speak. And that's how they come up with the 28, the 25 plus the 3 vowels. He goes into all of that here. He shows you that's the denial, distortion, and diversion. He talks about in it, the primacy of the alphabet. The whole earth was of one language and of one speech. He quoting Genesis. He shows, how these things would change. Yeah, so you got to get this if you don't have it in your life. He got more books. This is just one of them. See what I was saying? The 3 primary quantum vowels. It says A, Y, and W were not counted in the number of the 25 consonants and the letters because they are not produced by the human articulating organs. Search practice was universal at the time. Moreover, it continues to be endorsed by the modern day linguists. And more about the 3 primary quantum vowels, A, Y, and W, in the later chapter of this book. So the A, E, I, O, U in vowels, the I is interchangeable with Y, so you don't have to say AI. The E is also interchangeable with I as well. A, E, I, O, U. O and U is interchangeable, and W. So A, Y, and W represent those 3 vowels that were added to the 25 consonants, which make up the 28 letters. See what I'm saying? So he's quoting Adolf Erman, the German Egyptologist. The Egyptologists alone were destined to adopt a remarkable method following which they attained to the highest form of writing, the alphabet. The British Egyptologist William Flinders Petrie, in his book, The Formation of the Alphabets, telling you he using the European Egyptologist knowledge to beat them up. From the beginning of prehistoric ages, a cursive system, not pictures, a cursive system consisting of linear signs full of variety and distinction was certainly used in Egypt. The most eminent authority on languages, Isaac Taylor, in his book, History of Alphabets, which y'all see me with my excerpts and my slides pull up, Volume 1, page 62, the immensely early date at which symbols of an alphabetic nature are found on the Egyptian monuments is in fact of great interest and importance. It is of great interest in so much as it constitutes the starting point in the history of the alphabet, establishing the literal truth of the assertion that the letters of the alphabet are older than the pyramids, older probably than any other existing monument of human civilization. Isaac Taylor, in his book, The History of the Alphabets, Volume 1, page 64, wrote about the Egyptian king Sent. King Sent, in whose reign the alphabetic characters were already in use, may be taken to have lived between 4000 and 4700 BCE. That's the time that the Book of Ptahhotep that was written in Hieratic was written. So it's talking about the alphabet system here. Starting as the result of such calculations may appear, it must be affirmed to be probable that the beginnings of the graphic art in the Valley of the Nile must be relegated to a date of 7,000 or 8,000 years from the present time. So it is very clear that the ancient Egyptian alphabetical language was the first in the world of thousands of years prior to the much to do about nothing Sinai scripts. Later, it says, see a later chapter about this topic. In this book, The Formation of the Alphabet, William M. Flinders, it states Petrie has collected and tabulated alphabetical letter forms that extended from the early prehistoric age of Egypt to the Greek and Roman eras. Petrie also compiled from several independent scholars similar looking alphabetical letters from 25 locations in Asia Minor, Greece, Italy, Spain, and other locations throughout Europe. All are much younger than the ancient Egyptian alphabetical letter forms. Petrarch's tabulation of these alphabetical letter forms shows that 1. All alphabetical letter forms were present in ancient Egypt since the early pre-dynastic eras over 7,000 years ago, prior to any place else in the world. Number 2, all the Egyptian alphabetical letter forms are clearly distinguishable in the oldest recovered so-called Egyptian hieratic writing more than 5,000 years ago. The same exact ancient Egyptian alphabetical letter forms were later adopted and spread to other people throughout the world. So man, he goes in. The man ain't playing, people. See right here, I was telling you about, he was talking about the early alphabetical writings. Hieratic clearly show the cursive character, black rounded and bold. The 3 ancient Egyptian manuscripts referred to by Isaac Taylor are an ancient Egyptian manuscript in the possession of Professor of Lipsis, in which the mention is made of the builder of the Great Pyramid, Khufu. They're talking about the Red Sea Scroll that I showed y'all with the hieratic on it in previous sessions. Khufu, Cheops, and other kings of earlier dynasties of Memphis, 2649 to 2465 BCE. The most perfect specimen of the alphabetical neat cursive writing of the early period is celebrated papyrus, which was acquired at Thebes by M. Prissy D'Evenes, which y'all seen us start on the transliteration of the papyri, which is known as the papyri of Ptahhotep, same one right here, given him to the Bibliothèque of Nationale in Paris. This manuscript is usually called the Papyri Prissy. It was published in the facsimile by Prissy in 1847, which we have that. It says, and consists of 18 pages of magnificent alphabetical cursive writing, unequaled in size and beauty. The characters being unusually large, full, and firm. A statement at the end of the papyrus shows that it is only a copy of the original work, which purports to have been composed by Prince Ptahhotep, who lived during the reign of Asa, king of the 5th dynasty, 2465 to 2323 BCE. In the the Museum of Berlin, there are some fragments of hieratic papyrus dating to the times of the Egyptian king Amenemhet and Usertesen, who belonged to the 12th dynasty, 1991 through 1783, which preceded the invasion of the Hyksos. Here's the facsimile papyrus of Prissy, where the letter forms look exactly like letter forms throughout the recognized ancient Egyptian history and beyond. And this is the papyrus that we've been dealing with. They just got a picture of it. Here's an enlarged portion of every Egyptian papyrus shown distinctive alphabetical letter forms, which every other country would adopt, as evidence was shown throughout this book. And this is it. This is what the Egyptian alphabet looked like. We showed this to you before. This is hieratic, and the Phoenician came from that, and all the other languages branched off from that. So yeah, he got it in here. The brother is not playing. And he quoting the Europeans that they like to try to put out here is promoting chematology. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is powerful, family. It don't get no plainer than that. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna go to what I've been trying to get to. It always worked like that. Seemed like we end up going into more measures, but that's a good thing. Because when I get to going, I start tapping into, a lot of other measures. I'm getting downloads of revelation that's coming, straight from on high, so to speak. And that's why I end up going into these areas, which are very relevant to what we are dealing with right now. I be getting out the way and letting the prophet utilize me as a tool to work. So let me do this here. I have it open already. I'm going to open up the screen real quick. Our scribes have already been going over these things, but we're going to go back into them and go a little further, because some of these things, certain things need to be covered and brought forth. And we're going to just deal with the Google Translate to show our people exactly what's going on when you look into the Rosetta Stone, because we have the original attestations that are here in the papyri. And nobody has took the time to go through this with our people, because a lot of our people are lazy and they don't want to go into this type of stuff, but we got time. So here's our tool the Demotic Paleographical Database Project. And this is where we're able to tap into everything. And in the corpus, we can find Rosetta Stone, which is right here. This is BMEA 24. If you don't know, that's British Museum. That's how it can be located if you go to Google. Rosetta Decret in Sais. This is 196 BCE. It gives you then they give you the Thesaurus Linguae Egyptus as well number up here. You can go into all this stuff, and you can find that you see a lot of them other guys dealing with this mostly, but they haven't been dealing with the tool that we dealing with. So let's see right here. So yeah, they got it all up here. Everything you can find if you wanted to click on them links once you get inside the corpus. Yeah, so you can go in there and do deeper research in here, and you go to the corpus. You can go in and go into the text here and look at certain things from here as well and see what they say here. The province, Rosetta 7. They let you know the nome where they found it at, Egyptus, Sais, Sael Hagar. And then we have the fifth Lord Egyptian nome, Egyptus. It tell you it's a stone, basalt, stele. Give y'all the history, Demotic, Greek, and hieroglyphic. So you can go and find this stuff and really look into this, with these areas here, if you want to go that far. But what we have on the manifest is the actual corpus. And I actually closed out by mistake, so I go back over here and open up the papyri. Not papyri, but the digital upload. I just want to make sure that we got all of it, so we're going to let it finish rotating until it stops. I'm going to check and see if it did upload everything. No, it ain't fully uploaded yet. Okay, look like it has by now. Let's see. Okay, there it is. It's popped up now. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go right into the language and pull from here and briefly just go through a lot of this. Okay, let me wait. Let the page fully process itself. Yeah, like I say all the time, no more Ken. If our people can't get the truth now, it just ain't meant for one to get. Let's see. I knew they had one time before where you can actually just download, what was there. For some reason, let's see here. It's still kind of locked up there because I need to be able to. No, it's not letting me. And you want it here. Let's see. Give it a second. That's the only thing that need to be updated in this thing. And then it might be my sister. All this information I got going on here. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do this real quick. Because this may be the problem. I just took my drive off here. I had my other drive on there. And I'm going to see if this, it loaded up quick that time. Okay. But sometimes it can actually be other things that's bogging this thing down. Let's see. Okay, it's still not letting me go there yet. We're going to hit wait. Just give it a second, family. And what I'm going to do too, while I'm at it, I'm going to go close out some of these other windows. I already got that one closed out, so that's cool. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let me try this right here and see what happens. See if this will release it. Still didn't do it. That's the only thing that I don't like. Boy, I tell you, Rome ain't built nothing to last. I'm gonna do this here. Just open up a fresh page and see if it let it open up. Cause it definitely act like it don't want me to be able to work with this thing today, huh? Let's see. Don't make no sense. If it open it up, just open the thing up. Don't be trying to hide it now. We're going to get out a second real quick, Moors. It'll load up. It shouldn't be no problem because I ain't got nothing to open up but that. Okay. Okay, look like we may have some action here now. Yeah, we got some action because it's showing us some of the attestations. Still a little sluggish, but we definitely got some activity going on here. Okay, so now we should be able to see the text. I'm going to let this sit here for a second and it should load it all up. Still a little sluggish, but we are almost there. Because we need to be able to grab this text. It's still trying to load up in the background. I'm going to let it sit. There we go. Okay. All right. There we go there. And okay. Now we should be able to work with it. Let it sit here for a second until it catch. Don't make no sense for the page to not be responding. It's already loaded up. So I'm going to hit wait. I'm going to be patient. Because we need to see the line come up. That way we know we can grab the text. Oh, don't be trying to hide from us now. Yeah, they definitely trying to put a monkey wrench in this demonstration here. They like, y'all giving up too much light.
I was getting ready to say that. Too much light.
I'm going to be honest with you, Moors. I'm starting to be convinced that certain people be reporting this channel. You know, and put negative stuff on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they can't stop what we're doing. But that's what I'm believing happening. Some of the people that's doing that low key, just by based on the aspect that we people ain't even getting the notifications. You feel me? And so a lot of that deal with shadow banning. And that's why a lot of this stuff ain't really picking up on the public. When you have people out there talking a bunch of naught, ain't talking about nothing, and they got over 307,000 subscribers. And all we doing is teaching the truth, and they trying to hide it. You know, so we know what time it is. We know what's going on with Rome. And a lot of them is some of them same people that have opposed us that did it. Because that's their personality. We know what they have done. Goodness gracious. It don't, now y'all know good and well this thing don't normally take this long to catch. This is terrible. And the document is over. Look at that. Document over. And now they hiding the actual text. You know what? We're gonna do it this way. Grand National Secretary of State.
Islam.
Can you pull up the DPDP paleography? Or do you have it there where you can pull it up?
I had to check. Hold on.
You know, the website, and then just pull up the document on your thing and share your screen. It's showing the little letters here, but it would not let this whole document
Still checking.
Mm-hmm. That's what's going on. It's got, let me see. Don't enter any sensitive information on this site. Your connection to this site isn't secure. I need to give it permission. I'm just hit allow. This may be the problem right here. I just hit allow, and I'm gonna see what happens if I refresh it. Because it's trying to control this site right here. You know, all of a sudden you want to regulate this site. You ain't been regulating there nothing. What you want to regulate this site for?
Islam. I think I have it.
Okay, I may be done fix the problem over here. I'm gonna
Okay.
see.
I'm
If
on
not, we're
standby.
gonna have you share your screen. But that, I'm seeing what's going on. It's definitely having is let's see. Okay. Let me see here. That's what's going on. It's like it's something done set settings over here to block certain things. Let me see. I'm gonna hit allow here. Okay, let me see. I hit the reset or the refresh or whatever. Do this here. I may end up having to wait to do this correcting these things after the fact once we get up out of here. But it's definitely and I ain't never blocked this stuff. I don't know why it's putting a block. Yeah, Grand Secretary of State, we're gonna have you share your screen real quick. And you have your browser open for Google Translate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gratitude, Islamism. Let me stop sharing my screen. And we're going to put you in the queue. We ain't going over a whole bunch. We're going to just go to the bottom of the document.
All right.
The last few paragraphs in the bottom of the document is what we want. Because y'all already pointed out last week, you know, the different ways they inserted the names of the deities in there and all of that. It's a point that has to be made, though, here in regards to dealing with this Rosetta Stone and how it was created. And it tell you exactly what happened. Now, you see, when you got yours, and it got everything on there. See, mine,
Yeah.
been pulling that up. That's why I feel like there's some Roman type stuff on my computer. You know what I mean? So get
Yes,
them
sir.
last.
How far down do you want me to go?
All the way to the bottom and take from that last period right there on the bottom.
This one right here?
Yeah, and go upward because it
Okay.
has the information that we're looking for. And you can go up to right there and see. That'll be
Okay.
good. And see if it'll let you, if that ain't too much to put into Google Translate. Okay, there we go. Yeah. And as you can see right there, Grand Secretary of the State, you can give them the rest of that and so they can see what's being said here.
You mean just scroll down?
Yeah, well, it's speaking right here. The priests who are in the temple of Egypt. Scroll back where you went a little bit more upward.
Up. Okay. Oh,
yeah.
Right here?
Right there. Uh-huh. And we can go down a little bit line by line. It says, the priests who are in the temples of Egypt, in every temple they shall be called the priests of the appearing God. Now, this is Ptolemy. It says, whose goodness is beautiful. Now, this appearing God whose goodness is beautiful is really supposed to be the Ptolemies.
Uh-huh.
You see, because they done went in and took over. It says, in addition to other priestly titles, and they shall write it. So they basically laying down the law on what they going to call this stuff now that they in rulership. It says, and they shall write it in all the records of the deeds, and they shall write the office of the priest of the appearing God, Ptolemy, whose goodness is beautiful upon their rings, engraved upon them. So they're going to wear jewelry with Ptolemy name in it. It says, and it shall also private individuals who desire shall be permitted to call such a golden shrine of an appearing God, whose goodness and beautiful mention above to appear, to be kept in their places, and they shall annually perform the festivals and processions. So they're going to celebrate the coming of Ptolemy to conquer Kemet, described above, that it may be known that those who are in Egypt honor the God who appears. See, you ain't gonna honor Ptah and Ra, the ancestors. You gonna honor the appearing God, the real God, Ptolemy. Huh? That's what I'm talking about. Whose loving kindness is beautiful, as it is fitting, and the decree shall be written on a stele of hard stone, in hieroglyphics, Demotic, and Greek. They telling you right here.
Yeah.
You understand me? And shall be placed in the temples of the first and second rank next to the statue of the ever-living King, which they have is Ptolemy.
Woo.
Terrible.
Terrible.
Man, we don't need to catch none of our people out here promoting this Rosetta Stone. I'm telling you, like you said, it's sickening.
Yeah.
If this ain't divine taxidermy, then
Yeah.
what is? Not divine, but intellectual taxidermy.
Mm-hmm.
What is? You know, and so like y'all see it. This is coming from the Rosetta. This is translation from the Rosetta Stone, people. They're telling you that Ptolemy is the good God that appears. He done told these people to put this declaration in a stele of hard stone and basically superimpose itself into the history as the ever-living king. And y'all out here promoting this mess, talking about you are Egyptologists.
Whew.
This is terrible, people. So next time somebody come up there talking to you about Champollion and the ciphers of hieroglyphics and the Rosetta Stone, run. And it's more than just this right here, because we didn't even go to showing you how these different deities look. We done did it before. You know, the Ateos, the daughter, and, you know, all these different people that was named with the Greek names in here. You know, it get crazy. So you can't make this stuff up. This is source material, people, primary source material. So what you gonna do? Who you gonna believe? Me or your lying eyes right now? So I want to give honors to our Grand National Chairman, because he the one that coined that phrase. And we took it, we've been running with it ever since. You know, Islam isn't without the schism. We imitate the prophet, we imitate Act 1 too. You know, so at this time, we're gonna go ahead and open up the floor, because it don't take long to tell the whole of the truth. We ain't have to go into everything. We done been there. And those who've been watching us know exactly what's going on. But that right there is the icing on the angel food cake. So let us call forth our Grand National Secretary of State, Sister Hatshepsut Rakat Ma'at Amputut Coming Bay. She already here. Islam.
Ooh, like you said, having already risen, giving praise and honor, we're due the icing on the cake. Every time we go into these doctrines, the papyri, and get it actually from the source of our ancient forefathers and be able to see the remix, you know, you can't get no better than that. And giving Act 1 honor, giving you honor for identifying the necessity for being able to go to the source, whether the source is a remix, engineered, all the whole list of the terminology used to let us know that you're dealing with a mixture of truth and falsehood. So this gives even more credence to how important our job is in digging up, uncovering, you know, getting the dirt out the way to what actually is the true history of us as a people. And not so much on the physical aspect, but ethereally, you know when something is true and when something is false. We just had that lesson that you gave yesterday in reference to how it's innate within our soul. We know the difference between ought and not, good and bad, etc. So just like when it comes down to being able to do the research and go back over these records, you know when something is dealing with a forked tongue as opposed to something that's describing the truth and the horror and the oppression of what we had gone through just because we were the founders of civilization and every language came from us. And because of whether it's hatred, jealousy, let me wipe out the truth, we the ones superior, racism, what have you, colorism, whatever term you want to put on it. Hatred is hatred. And this is not something that is natural to us as a people. So when we go back to our ancient forefathers' way of thinking, we recognize the need for dealing with creativity, being about harmony, the whole 9 yards, in order to reestablish love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, because this is how we reigned, not with a lot of terrorism, war, and every other thing. And that demonstration dealing with taxidermy and things of that nature. Still, it's horrible, terrible. But the thing is, we rising above that muck and the mire, to what is actually the truth. So gratitude for continuing to bring these things out front. Because like I said, when I was trying to do the research, this is prior to the advent of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I did not have a clue. At least we've got a pattern and a blueprint. You've got the keys for what the Prophet brought our ancestors, and what has been held back and specifically released, so that now we are able to trace ourselves back. So gratitude more for calling me forth. Much peace and love to all of my Moorish kin. Islam.
Islam and peace. One thing about it, you can tell too, being that it's so much in the air right now of people going away from our culture, allowing people to mislead them. When you really stand on the business of being who you are, and you go out into the world, like I see it in the marketplace. Like yesterday, I had my Moorish ribbon on my neck. When I went out, the same one I had on during our meeting. And when they see certain things of culture, I'm sitting there looking in the aisle at certain things I'm trying to get. And you got Europeans there too. And I step out of the way to allow them to get what they get, but I'm looking for my, what I'm trying to grab. And so, oh, you thinking about what you're trying to get? You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know you. Why are you trying to have a conversation with me? I ain't no person where I don't like to talk to people, but I'm saying, but it was really because they were nervous, of my presence, because they really was looking at my garb and how I was dressed. You understand? And all the propaganda out there. And so I know that's what they was really trying to spark a conversation, to try to tap into my mind to make themselves feel comfortable being next to me, basically. And so I just said simply, as they said that, as I was still looking for my stuff, I say, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll find a label. Excuse me, what you said? Like I was actually saying something to threaten them. You understand? But this is the mentality of the Roman, because they can feel the presence that this dude stands for something, but we don't know what it is. But looking for the looks of it, he looked like one of the Muslim dudes. You understand? It's something else. But it's out there in the atmosphere, because they believe that their culture, being culture vultures that they done come up with, is the only thing that's supposed to be out here, and nothing else supposed to exist. And if it is, then it must be something terroristic, and so, it's a whole bunch of stuff. So I see the shenanigans, and even in some of our people, when they see you dress, in a culture type of way, some of them, also, what is it that you stand for, what you represent? You want me to teach you? Or are you nervous? So it's something else out here, family. That's all I say. But other scribes, do you have anything you would like to say in your closing comments?
Just that Islam, just Dr. Bati Bey, just that there's a lot of, as you keep stating, there's a lot of information out here to be had. And before I get in my measure, the brother Tarif Bey, I'm not able to comment on that. He wants to know what name of the Mustafa Gadala book you showed, and I think that was a writing modes of Egyptian. The writing modes of the Egyptian. I have it. I don't have it.
Yeah, I showed it to him earlier.
Okay.
The Egyptian writing modes.
Islam, but
I showed it to him.
Islam. But there's a lot of information, and once people see that when they start digging, not just with this language, not just with all the things that they've been trying to keep from us and demonize our history, but once they see this, they'll see why having a government and having our own is important. Having our own flag, seal, emblem, having our own schools of thought, being able to challenge what they call the status quo when it comes down to information, and even the assumable jurisdiction that they have a lot of our people under in this era of time. And so kudos to our assistant Grand Sheik for this class and the information and all the scribes that that show up and do their thing. Islam. Peace and love.
Islam and peace and love. And I believe our brother Marvin Edwards Bay, is on a journey, because we called him early, he wasn't there. So all is well. We want to just say gratitude to our family, and our next measure on here, will be another drawing coming forth from our scribes. And after that, we'll move to the Hikapta, which is known as the Coptic language. And we'll probably end up going up into a lot of the papyri and different stuff that we find and try to look through certain things. As we're at the point now, like I say, we dealing with the actual text. We showed in numerous videos, the origin of the alphabet. No need to be redundant in that particular area. It's really us just doing the work and doing our own research to become more proficient in what it is that we already have, so that we can begin to bring forth literature as it relates to these certain measures. That's what we're working on right now. We ain't rushing nothing. We ain't trying to do no Speedy Gonzales with what it is we demonstrate, because we want to make sure we give it to you right. You can have it right, or you can have it right now. And right now ain't always good. So a lot of people like to have things right now, as especially in relation to dealing with what's done right. So we just say gratitude. And at this time, we'll pass it on to our beloved brother Tara Anpu Anibati Bey, our beloved scribe, and he can close us out. Islam, grand man.
Islam. And Islam, gratitude for all the participants, all the brothers online, all the sisters online. Islam, and I will read the warning. January 15th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We offer peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards to Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings towards the government or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive the reward from Allah for the unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they should lose confidence in the prophet, they should turn in their card, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing the turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting the prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful way by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islam. Chapter 25. Chapter 48. Excuse me. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nation. You are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother have given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity. Prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all, and your love to each other. Peace. Islam, Islam, Islam. And with that, time never was.
Great class. Gratitude.
Great class, Islam.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Islam.
Peace and love, family.
Islamism without a schism.
Islamism without the schism. I wish a Roman would. Goodness gracious.
Woo!
Praise be to Allah. I want to give honors to Act One, man, in the Moorish American nation, man. Man, they couldn't stop this right here if they had what they like to call them, the anvils that they like to hold the ship down with. You can't do that right there. We moving. We on the move. We got the motion.
Right.
As the young generation, we got the motion over here. We moving. The national movement.
Praise Allah.
Without the schism. I want to give honors to all the Moors that showed up today, man. And I'm gonna keep trying to send them links directly to y'all because we know what's going on. Sister Curta Bay, Azalea Bay, welcome here, family. Who it is? Cena Renee, honors to you. Don L, welcome back again. Tyrese L, Noble Brian, Tarif Bay, Born Dog, man, all of y'all, man, y'all are showing up, and we're gonna keep getting this truth out here to y'all. So peace and love, and keep sharing and subscribing and liking, within this algorithm, because we're gonna break through here. That's all we got to do is share it a little bit and like it a little bit, and they're gonna get it. They're gonna catch on, Moors. So Islamism without the schism. We'll see y'all tonight in Sunday school. Islam. Peace and love. Peace and love.